A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
This I believe. Elizabeth Gray Vining is a Bryn Mawr-educated Philadelphia Quaker who in 1946 was chosen to become tutor to the Crown Prince of Japan. The story of her experiences there is contained in her best-selling book, Windows for the Crown Prince. These are Elizabeth Vining's beliefs behind that story.
When I was young, I thought that beauty and courage and human love were the enduring values by which I could live. The beauty of nature, of an apple-green sky in a December twilight, of sunshafts through trees, of distant mountains, the beauty of words in poetry or fine prose fed my spirit. Courage, even a little of it, enabled me to face the disappointments that come to all young writers and to weather the disasters of the Great Depression. Human love meant for me a circle of friends and family, and above all, my brilliant and adored husband, Morgan Vining. In 1933, he was killed in an automobile accident, and I was seriously injured myself. I had 9 weeks in bed to contemplate the wreckage of my world. I realized then that beauty and courage and human love, though indispensable, were not enough. During a long winter, I sought desperately for the rock of truth on which to build my life anew, and found it in the silent worship of the Quaker meeting. In discovering there the love of God, I found the love of neighbor infinitely widened and deepened. The realization that there is a spark of the divine in every human soul draws together people of all races, all creeds, all nations, all classes. It is the real reason why war is evil and social injustice unendurable, why religion is incomplete without service. I am a Christian, but I believe that all religions are pathways to God and become closer to one another as they mount nearer to Him. As William Penn said, the humble, meek, merciful, just, pious, and devout souls are everywhere of one religion, and when death has taken off the mask, they will know one another, though the divers liveries they wear here makes them strangers. I have come to understand that we see only a small part of the whole pattern of existence. Sorrow and suffering give opportunities for growth. Disappointment often opens doors to wider fields. The tragedy of death, as someone wiser than I has said, is separation. But even separation may not be permanent. The sense of continuing companionship with those who have gone beyond the horizon, which comes to me occasionally, makes me confident that some day we shall see beyond the mystery, which now we must accept. I believe in the power of prayer. I know something of this power through having been on the receiving end. After the war, I was asked to be the tutor to the Crown Prince of Japan. In this fascinating but delicate and sometimes difficult work, situations arose in which I had no precedent to follow, no rules that I could consult. I had to depend more than I had ever done before on intuition. I used to hear again and again of people who were praying for me in my work, a group of children in England, strangers all over the United States and Japan, friends at home. More than once, I found myself lifted up and carried over the critical point, and it may well be that the prayers of unknown people in far places were helping me in ways I could not know. We understand very little about this power of prayer, and it is possible to misuse it even with the highest motives. I think that I can only ask that God's will be done in regard to any situation, and that people whom I want to help may come to seek Him and to know His love and truth directly. But by the very act of asking, if I do it sincerely and without reserve, perhaps I can open myself as a channel for God's healing action.
They're the creed of Elizabeth Gray Vining, whose balanced belief may be useful not only to the future ruler of Japan, but the rest of us in everyday living.
The Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Listen, Kate. Casey. I'm a great man.
Huh? What have you done now, Ethelbert?
I'm the only man on the block who never saw a flying saucer.
Well, that won't put you on history's pages.
You mean I won't be famous?
No, Ethelbert. You gotta do something. You gotta be outstanding to be famous.
Sure, like Anchor Hawking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole. Our adventure for tonight, Lady Killer. Mid-afternoon, the cocktail lounge of a luxurious resort hotel in Colorado. A man enters, surveys the place with casual approval, and saunters toward the bar. He's about 35, well-dressed and rather good-looking. But there's nothing distinctive about him. As he waits for one of the bartenders to serve him, he hums an old tune.
What'd it be, sir?
Martini, please. Extra dry.
Yes, sir. Say, haven't I served you before, sir?
Well, no, I just checked into the hotel an hour ago. This is my first visit to the bar.
I don't mean here. Someplace else. Maybe L.A. I worked there last year.
I've never been to Los Angeles.
Denver or Frisco, then?
No, I'm sure we've never met before. I've spent the last 10 years in Europe.
Well, I've never been across the water. Yet. I guess you just remind me of somebody.
Yes, I imagine that's it.
Yeah. See how this martini strikes you.
Uh-huh. Oh, it's exactly right.
That's how I try to make everything. Call me when you want another. My name's Frank.
Frank.
Yeah?
I shan't want another for a while, so I'll pay you now. You are? Keep the change.
Say, thanks.
Quite all right. Oh, by the way, that fine-looking woman at the corner table over there, you know her?
The brunette with the big diamond ring?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know her.
Her face is very familiar. I was just wondering if...
You've probably seen her picture in the papers. There was a big story about her a couple of weeks ago when she got a Reno divorce from her husband, plus $1 million settlement.
Oh.
She's Madeline Chalmers.
Oh, yes, of course.
I used to wait on her back in Toledo, where she comes from. I worked there 2 years ago. She and another wealthy lady named Utley used to say I was the only bartender they'd ever met who could make a planter's punch exactly right.
This Mrs. Utley, she's a close friend of Mrs. Chalmers?
Miss Utley. She was one of them bachelor girls then. Or since she's married a banker named Fisher. Yeah, she and Mrs. Chalmers were pals.
Well, I'm acquainted with a banker named Fisher. I believe he married an Utley. Let's see now. His first name is...
This one's first name is Douglas. He the one you know?
Well, his wife's first name is...
Irene. Irene Utley.
Uh-huh, they're the people.
I'm told they took a trip to Europe last year, where you were. I guess you met him over there.
Yes, London or Paris, I think. Mr. and Mrs. Fisher aren't here by any chance.
Oh, no. Mrs. Chalmers tells me they're up in Maine this summer. Bar Harbor.
Well, since Mrs. Chalmers is alone, I shouldn't be intruding if I introduced myself, I suppose, and inquired about my friends, the Fishers.
No, I don't think so.
I'll see you later, Frank.
Thanks again, Mr.
Thank you. How do you do, Mrs. Chalmers?
I beg your pardon?
I can see you've forgotten me. Irene Utley introduced us several years ago in Toledo, I think it was, before she married Doug Fisher.
Oh, you're a friend of Irene's and Doug's?
Well, I spent a day with them only a week ago in Bar Harbor.
How are they? Irene hasn't written to me in ages.
They were fine, enjoying themselves. May I sit down and order us... I seem to remember you had a preference for Planter's Punch.
Do sit down.
Thank you very much.
I'm terribly embarrassed. You remember even my favorite drink, and I can't recall...
Well, unlike you, I have a face that people soon forget. My name is Grammerton, Cecil Grammerton.
Cecil Grammerton.
You plan to stay here for some time, Mrs. Chalmers?
At least several weeks.
Well, I'm going to remain about the same period, and if you'll permit our acquaintance to ripen, I'll try hard not to be forgotten again. this evening. More so than usual.
You like this gown?
No, it isn't the gown or the perfection of your hair or those magnificent diamonds you're wearing. That's simply you.
Cecil, you always say the right thing. I'm afraid you're what my dad used to call a lady killer.
Lady killer?
Or a wolf.
Oh, well, how do I look like a wolf or a lady killer?
No, which makes you doubly dangerous. A week ago, when you came to my table in that cocktail lounge, I thought what a mild, negative, innocuous man you were.
And now?
Now I'm in my suite alone with you. I sent my maid away tonight, as you requested.
Which proves?
I like you. Sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Hand me a cigarette, will you?
Yes, of course. Here you are.
Thanks.
Light?
Mm-hmm.
You, only like me, Madeline? Last night I told you that I loved you.
And I almost believed you.
Didn't believe me?
A rich divorcee should be careful, especially when she knows the man no better than I know you.
You'll get better acquainted with me tonight. You sure we're really alone here?
Of course, dear.
Now, what do you want to know about me, I'll hold you close as I tell you. Do you suspect I'm a fortune hunter who wants to marry you for your money?
That's a possibility. But I'm comfortable in your arms.
It's an impossibility. I wouldn't marry you for any amount of money.
You wouldn't marry me?
Or anyone like you.
Cecil, let go of my throat. Take your hands away.
I'll tell you what I am, Madeline.
Cecil.
I'm really a lady killer. Really a lady killer. Such nice diamonds you had, Mrs. Chalmers. You won't need them anymore.
Hey, Walter,
Yes, Ethelbert?
don't forget to stack some more paper napkins under the bar.
I won't.
Speaking of paper, reminds me, Casey, did you see the newspapers this morning?
Certainly not. I only work on a paper. I don't read them.
There's a deep suspicion, Ethelbert, that no press photographer knows how to read.
Yeah, I heard that, Miss Williams.
It's also suspected, Annie, that few reporters know how to write.
Oh, yeah? Huh.
Yeah, well, anyway, your Morning Express had an article saying that fella who's believed to have strangled Mrs. Madeline Chalmers in Colorado last month, is thought to be hiding in this town. Is that true?
No, it's baloney. Confidentially, Ethelbert. Papers all over the country got such a swell front-page spread out of that Colorado hotel murder, they're trying to keep it alive.
Oh, wait a minute, Annie. Don't be skeptical. The police have pretty definitely tied him up with the murder of 7 other wealthy widows.
Well, it's not known for sure that Cecil Gramerton has killed and robbed other women.
That's just some more newspaper buildup, huh?
Not in my book or in the cops. Listen, during the last 5 years, 7 other rich women have been strangled and their valuables stolen under nearly exactly the same circumstances.
Casey, people in that Colorado hotel who saw Gramerton every day don't give a description of him that agrees with the men suspected of the other crimes.
Well, they don't agree with each other in their descriptions of Gramerton. He seems to be one of those negative-looking guys nobody ever remembers.
The bartender out there remembered him, according to what I read.
All he remembers about him is that he was always humming sentimental songs. That isn't very much to go on.
Whenever there's a sensational crime, a witness usually turns up who tries to get into the spotlight by telling a lot more than he really knows.
Say, come on, we got to get out of here, Annie.
Oh, yeah, we're due at the Fenimore Plaza in 10 minutes.
That's right.
What are you going to do at that swanky hotel?
Oh, one of those lousy assignments. The Express has an exclusive tip that the Clara Simmons has broken her engagement to the Charlie Fawcett.
And we're getting a confirmation or denial from her before we pass the news to our palpitating public.
Clara Simmons is the oil heiress?
Yeah. Worth about $20 million. What I've heard, though, she's kind of a wet smack. She doesn't smoke, she doesn't drink, she doesn't approve of modern bathing suits.
She's a very nice girl, Casey. You're just a little bit old-fashioned. I've met her.
I haven't met an old-fashioned girl for years. They're old-fashioned now.
Yeah, that... Oh, well. Come on, Annie. See you later this evening, pal.
So long, Ethelbert.
So long, Walter. So long, Casey. Walter, where are those napkins?
The report you heard is altogether correct, Miss Williams. Mr. Fawcett and I have broken our engagement.
Do you
Care to give me the reason, Miss Simmons? I can only say that he and I agreed upon the termination and that we shall remain the best of friends. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm expecting guests.
May I take a picture of you before we go, Miss Simmons?
I'd rather you wouldn't, Mr. Casey.
Oh, well, we can run one of your old ones that we have in our files, but you look so nice this evening, I'd rather...
You know that no woman can withstand that kind of flattery. Take your picture.
Thanks. Will you stand over there by the piano, please?
Surely.
Casey wasn't guilty of flattery, Miss Simmons. That gown is charming.
Thank you. Do you like the style?
Very much. I haven't seen anything like it. It must be the latest.
It was 20 years ago. My mother wore it then.
Your mother?
She wore it to a ball only a week before she died. I was just a child then, but I've never forgotten how pretty she looked. I kept it. I had it made over to wear tonight.
Some big event must be scheduled for tonight, eh?
It is, Mr. Casey. Will you take your picture now and then excuse me?
Oh, sure.
Oh, I'm afraid I'll have to answer that. I've given my servants the evening off.
Good evening, Clara.
Come in, Evans. Where's your mother?
Well, she phoned that she'll be delayed. She'll join us here in a little while.
Oh.
You have guests.
This lady and gentleman are from the Morning Express. They're leaving right away. Miss Williams, Mr. Casey, this is Mr. Pentecost.
How do you do, Mr. Pentecost?
Pleasure.
Sit down, Evans. Mr. Casey is going to take a picture of me.
Very well.
Will you stand by the piano again, Miss Simmons?
Well, yes, of course. Like this?
Yes, that's swell. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I hope you won't think me rude if I ask.
Oh, you've been very kind. Thank you very much. Good night, Miss Simmons. Mr.
Pentecost. Evans Pentecost.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, and thanks again.
You bet.
Not at all.
Why were those newspaper people here, Clara?
To ask me about my engagement to Charles. I told them I'd broken it.
Did you tell them why?
I didn't say a word about you. Evans, you said you were bringing your mother here to meet me. I sent the servants away, as you requested, so the three of us could be completely alone. But since your mother's been delayed, I think we should...
You're worried about us being alone?
Why, naturally.
You're very different from other women I've known.
We'll go down to the mezzanine and wait for your mother.
You're lovely in that gown, Clara.
Don't try to change the subject, Evans.
My mother once had a gown like that.
Be a good boy now. Let's go down to the mezzanine.
We must be alone or you wouldn't be so insistent.
Why, of course we're alone.
Alone?
Evans, why do you look at me like that?
We're alone.
Evans, you frightened me.
All alone.
Don't come any closer. Go away, Evans!
At the end of a long, hot summer day, listen for the tinkle of ice cubes on Frosty Crystal. Cool summer drinks are doubly inviting when served in the amazing new Sunburst Crystal. Now, this truly fine crystal has the radiance of a diamond. Its brilliance is like rare old hand-cut crystal. And now, thanks to a revolutionary new anchor-hocking manufacturing discovery, you can enjoy this magnificent crystal at unbelievably low prices. Imagine a sunburst crystal glass for fruit juice priced at only 5 cents. Imagine 10-ounce table tumblers, 2 for 15. Big oversized glasses for ice drinks, only 10 cents each. And a beautiful matching 2-quart pitcher for only 50 cents. That's what you'll find tomorrow and Saturday in the windows and on the counters of the retail stores of America. Prices slightly higher in distant cities. Don't put it off. Enjoy Sunburst Crystal this weekend. Sunburst Crystal is a product of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass.
taxicab for you, Mr. Pentecost.
Thank you, boy.
It's outside this door, sir.
You've put my baggage in it?
Yes, sir. Everything's all set.
Here, this is for your trouble.
Thanks very much. I hope you'll be our guest at the Fenimore Plaza again, and very soon, sir.
I don't think I shall be. Union Terminal driver.
Goodbye, Mr. Pentecost.
Goodbye.
Bellboy!
Huh?
Bellboy!
Yes, sir?
The guy who just got into that cab. Where was he going from here?
It's against Fenimore Plaza rules to give out information concerning our guests, sir.
Nuts with rules. That guy's a murderer.
Of what?
I was bartender in the Colorado Hotel where he killed Mrs. Chalmers. That guy's Cecil Grammerton.
Grammerton?
The lady killer. Get the cops after him quick. Then find out what dame he strangled here.
Grammerton got away, Captain Logan.
Yeah, he did, Miss Williams. My men located the cab that took him from this hotel, but he'd gotten out of it with his baggage only a few blocks from here.
He didn't go to Union Terminal where he told the driver to take him.
Oh. Where he is now is anybody's guess, Casey.
You said he didn't hurt Miss Simmons, Logan.
That's right. She was hysterical when they found her, but otherwise she was okay.
Well, she was hysterical because he tried to kill her.
No, he didn't even lay a hand on her, Miss Williams.
What?
No, the thing's screwy the way she tells it. She says she suddenly got terribly afraid of the guy. He started to reach for her, and there was an insane look on his puss. Then all of a sudden he drops his hands, mumbles an apology, and walks out.
Oh. Of course, you've searched the rooms that Grammerton occupied.
Sure.
Well, did you find anything that might lead to...
No, nothing that looks very hot, just an old photograph.
A photograph?
Yeah, of a woman. I'd say it was taken 20, 25 years ago. It was in a nice leather frame. It obviously slipped out of one of the guy's suitcases.
Can we see it?
Yes, but there's to be no mention of it in your paper. I'm not tipping Grammerton that we have the thing.
That's off the record, Logan.
No, of course.
Okay. Here it is.
Huh? Oh, she's a sweet-looking old lady.
Too sweet. She's a prim and prissy type.
Uh-huh.
Hey, look, the name of the photographer who took this picture is down at the bottom, Logan. Perkins. Name of the town.
Yeah, Perkins of Fairview.
Fairview. That's only about 100 miles from here. Isn't it?
I'm taking a trip up there tomorrow.
Oh, huh? I'll go with you.
Okay, but you may be wasting your time. It's my job to go.
I got a hunch it won't be wasted time, Logan. And I've got another hunch. A hunch that no newspaper guy should get.
Yeah, what's that?
That you should kill the entire story of what happened tonight.
Kill the story?
Yes, Annie, every bit of it.
Oh, it's big news, Casey. Front page.
It doesn't matter. Put that bartender under wraps, Logan. Tell the hotel people and Miss Simmons to clam up about what they know and give all the papers a hush-hush order.
Since this is the first time I ever got that kind of advice from a news hound, I'll take it.
Oh, you should be thrown to the squirrels for this, Casey.
Oh, no, Annie. The big story will be Grammerton's arrest, and we'll play for an exclusive on that. Logan, how soon can we leave for Fairview?
Well, yes, Captain Logan. I took this picture of the lady, 20 years ago, I'd say. It was shortly before her death.
Oh, she's dead, Mr. Perkins.
Yes, she died of pneumonia.
Well, who was she?
Mrs. Asa Bristow. A very fine woman. I was her neighbor for many years, and we attended the same church.
Did she have any children?
Well, she had an only son, Elmer, an extremely well-behaved boy. They were inseparable, and her death was a great blow to him. He was only about 15 at the time.
Now, you know what happened to this Elmer?
No. Relatives took him out west to live, and I've heard nothing of him since.
Could you describe him, Mr. Perkins?
Well, I knew the boy so well I should be able to. You know, that's strange. I can't just seem to remember what he looked like.
You can't?
Well, there was nothing about him. All that I can really recall is that he had a great attraction for girls and older women, although he seemed to care nothing for anybody but his mother. And he had a habit that was frequently irritating, a habit of humming sentimental old songs. I'm sorry I can't be of greater help to you.
You've helped plenty, Mr. Perkins, and thanks a million. Let's go, Logan.
Yeah. I'll probably get in touch with you later, Mr. Perkins.
Well, I'll be at your service, Captain.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, gentlemen.
Goodbye. He couldn't have given us a better description, pal.
Yeah, but what does it get us? Apparently the lady killer's real name is Elmer Bristow, and he had a doting mother.
Wait a minute, Logan. I think he developed what the psychological docs call a mother complex.
So what?
So it finally made him go haywire and start killing gals like Madeline Chalmers, Listen, Logan, all of the 8 women strangled by this guy were direct opposites of his mother. They were unconventional babes who did all the things that Mama had taught her only son to despise.
Casey, he did those murders for dough.
Those thefts will send him to the chair instead of an asylum when he's caught, Logan. But his real motive, I believe, was hatred of a type. Well, he proved that last night when he didn't hurt Clara Simmons. Because I think she was the same type as his mother. In that old-fashioned dress she had on, he may have seen her all of a sudden as his mother.
Yeah, you may be right. And from what you just suggested, maybe we can figure a way to make him walk right into our hands.
Of course we can.
And by using your dear old power of the press and Clara Simmons.
Gerard.
Yes, Dorothy?
Must you gaze into space and hum those corny songs? I must be dreadful company.
Oh, I beg your pardon, darling. I was thinking.
Light me a cigarette.
Oh, sure. Shall we get another drink?
Oh, not now. Sitting here on the beach has made me lazy.
We're going to look out at the beach from your apartment tonight. Alone.
Mm-hmm.
Until tonight, every minute will seem like an hour.
That romantic line is pretty old, Gerard.
Yeah, well, I'll try to do better next time.
I hope you do. Oh, speaking of romance, did you see this morning's papers?
No.
Oh, there was the silliest story about that frightfully rich Clara Simmons.
Clara Simmons?
Yes. Ever meet her?
What? No.
I have. She's a trippy little thing.
What did the paper say about her?
Oh, she's very ill.
Ill?
Pneumonia.
Pneumonia?
Brought on by a breakdown. Caused, the paper said, by a wrecked romance.
I see. Well, did the paper say where Miss Simmons is?
Well, she's in the city hospital, I believe.
Dorothy, will you excuse me? I've got to go back to the hotel.
Oh, why?
I've got to put through a long-distance call. Business. I may have to leave here on the very first train.
Leave? What's happening about tonight?
Well, nothing, to my regret. Because, Dorothy, you're just the sort of woman I love to find alone.
There he is, Captain Logan. The man getting out of that cab.
Fine, Miss Simmons. Well, Casey, our cockeyed scheme worked, eh?
I'm pretty sure it would.
We knew he'd fallen for it after that long-distance call came through to the hospital.
When they told him I was really ill, Miss Williams, he came to me.
Now, don't think of what he's doing now, Miss Simmons. Think of what he has done.
Yes, I must.
Here he comes, Captain.
This is it. Hello, Elmer Bristow.
What? Will you let go of me?
You're a collector of jewelry. Here's a pair of bracelets for you.
Oh, what's the meaning of this? What? Clara. Clara.
Yes.
You're not ill. This was a trick.
Yeah. And now a few uninhibited rich gals are going to enjoy longer lives. Take them away, man. Now, come on, Miss Simmons. I'll help you back to
Annie. Huh. Miss Simmons is crying. So what has that insignificant-looking guy got? Made the women fall for him.
Casey, if he wasn't on his way to jail, I think I'd try to find out.
Yeah. Huh?
We gals crave romance. And if we don't get it from overwhelming personalities like yours, well, there are a lot of Elmers.
Annie, I think there's going to be some nice moonlight tonight.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
So?
Well, poor little Miss Simmons needs comforting. Maybe I should invite her to go out with... Ow! Ow!
Oh, I'm so sorry, Casey. I didn't mean to kick you in the shin.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. You know, beer isn't the most important thing in the world, but it certainly is one of the pleasantest. And Anchor Hocking's revolutionary new one-way bottle makes beer and ale easy to enjoy. You know, it took a lot of research to develop this one-way bottle. It had to be light, compact, sturdy. It had to be so low in cost that no deposit, no return to the store is necessary. And that's what it is. A little wizard at fitting into packed refrigerators. Easy and safe to open. Easy and safe to drink from. No trouble about returns. When it's empty, just throw it away. And best of all, it's glass. Glass that can't affect the flavor and purity of beer and ale. Glass that keeps your beer brewery bright. You'll find 12-ounce, no-deposit bottles of your favorite brand at your local store. For beer at its best, ask for it in the new Anchor Glass one-way bottle, a product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
This guy, Elmer, admitted all his murders, huh?
Yep, he's a psychopathic case, Ethelbert, and when his kind start talking, they keep it up. You know, that guy's proud of all his killings. He's bragging about them now.
A nice, sweet guy.
Yeah.
And you got him to come back here by figuring Clara Simmons had the engine sign on him just as his mother had, huh?
Yeah, he couldn't let her die of pneumonia as his mother died without trying to save her.
So clever, this Casey. Expert photographer, consulting psychologist, and eminent authority on affairs of the heart.
What?
You sound bitter, Miss Williams.
Do I?
Well, Annie, I'm not responsible for this rain tonight.
Who said anything about weather?
Well, if it had been a nice moonlit night, I thought...
I'm not interested in what you thought.
Oh.
To a person with even the slightest imagination, moonlight is non-essential.
Oh. Well, care to take a drive in the rain, Annie?
Well, if the right person invited me, properly.
Miss Williams, will you go for a drive in the rain with me? I'd love to have your company.
Why, yes, Mr. Casey. Where shall we drive?
Poor Clara Simmons must still need comforting. How about calling on her and... Ow, my other shin!
So sorry, Mr. Casey. Clumsy of me.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures, all products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town, so stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This I believe. Elizabeth Heller is a young housewife with a deep faith in the basic altruism of children, which she has translated into a novel scheme for the promotion of international goodwill. Since World War II, her Share Your Birthday campaign has resulted in the distribution of over 8 million toys, contributed by United States children to youngsters all over the world. This is what she believes.
It seems to me that true philosophy is lived long before it is formulated into words. It took about half of my life for me to recognize the far-reaching importance of mere incidents, which are now the basis of my deepest convictions. What I believe, and consequently what I do, is the result of things so seemingly unimportant as to be scarcely noticed at the time they occurred. Things like the feeling I got when as a little child I would share my ice cream or candy with other children, or on the receiving end when a young woman whom I knew to be rather poor handed me a lovely handkerchief, with the casual remark that while walking through Marshall Fields she saw this kerchief and thought it suited me. Often I recognize a warm feeling of friendship arise through the thoughts represented by an insignificant gift to casual acquaintances, and watch with keen satisfaction their own thoughts turn to similar niceties towards me and others. Such little practices and a genuine interest in people and their problems resolve themselves into a simple discovery that minds open up like petals to the sun when touched by the warm rays of one's heart. From here on, understanding, blending of opinions, and tolerance of differences are a chain of stimulating experiences, enriched by a mutual feeling of unshakable faith. World War II was over, and impressive documents of peace were ceremoniously signed and tucked safely into various vaults. From my cozy living room and cheerful dinette, overlooking a restful and well-cared-for lawn in Marion, Pennsylvania, the future looked very promising for a bit. Then, slowly and steadily, the Cold War began to take shape. My thoughts turned to the whys and wherefores of all the dissension in this world, a world that has so much of everything to offer. To my simple mind, the answer was that wars are inevitable so long as men will not know their fellow men at close range, and from early childhood before prejudice, suspicion, and hatred have taken hold. Just as simple, then, it seemed to me that the solution lies in prevention rather than cure. It was then that the sharing of toys among children around the globe took on a special significance for me, as I became firmly convinced that with a beginning such as this, and the intervening years filled with continuing exchange of material blessings, thoughts, dreams, and experiences, minds must blend into signatures of genuine purpose, laying the groundwork for a truly harmonious peace. How often we expound a conviction on pure theory and then see it explode in action. Thus I very thoroughly followed through here, and was happy to find that my expectations were extremely modest. The reactions of the children both to giving and receiving, and the effect these had on their elders, have more than justified my faith in their instinctive wisdom and in their importance to the world. Now, more than ever, I feel secure in the faith I gained as a little child, that if I give freely of myself, I will never lack in happiness.
There the creed of Elizabeth Heller of Marion, Pennsylvania, who has put a simple little idea to work in a big way.
Does not pay.
I tell you, Jackie, we can be smart. And if we're smart, no more cut liquor in cheap nightclubs.
Hey, this is a big nightclub, baby. You saying it's cheap?
Look at it. Not even a tablecloth. The waiters pay no attention. The drinks are bad. The music sounds like nothing. Oh, sweetie, I know it's the best now. And you're very sweet to give the best you can, but look, you have friends. There can be more, many more. And if we're smart, we can be big. I have a plan, Jackie, a plan. And when it works, not even the cops will bother us. Understand? Not even the cops.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear The Weak Spot, starring Margot. Does Not Pay, starring Margot as Maya Grimson in The Weak Spot. Maya Grimson knew poverty from the day she was born. She grew up in it, and the beauty and intelligence that were hers found no use, no setting, no outlet in the life she found herself living. Inside, the canker grew, starting with a small bitterness of envy and developing into a grim determination to seize by force, if necessary, all the material things that did not come any other way. Maya herself had no words for this, but it was there, awaiting the moment. Maya had little of anything, but her most cherished possession, if it could be called that, was her passion for lackadaisical, easygoing Jackie Wallace. It was for Jackie that Maya was putting together a supper of sorts one evening.
All right, come in.
Hi, baby. How's every little thing?
No. Don't kiss me now.
What's the matter? Something wrong, my baby?
It's so hot. I'm tired of cooking yesterday's stew.
Well, baby, this is your night out. That's what I came to tell you.
Out? Where? The hot dog stand at the corner?
Now, get this, honey. We're stepping out tonight. I got a 10-spot, and old Alex Hamilton is crying for a date with you.
Who died?
Nobody. Why?
Never mind. Where'd you get this $10?
Business was good. All the suckers were riding long shots today. The book showed a real profit.
$10.
Well, look, baby, you know, it ain't often that we got $10 to toss around. You don't want to go out, just say so.
Hey, when did we go dancing last, Jackie?
Gee, I don't remember.
And tonight?
Dump the stew, baby. We'll go to the 38 Club and have a time.
Sure, we'll go. Hey, what's wrong with me, darling?
Nothing that I can see. You're beautiful.
Yeah, no decent clothes.
You're bright.
I live in one room with a gas.
Snap out of it, honey. There's nothing wrong with you. Tonight's our night to howl.
Oh, all right. Now, get out. Shoot. Out with you. Let me put on my one good dress, huh? 10 minutes, darling. Downstairs in 10 minutes.
You got a voice, baby. You know, when you hit those low notes, I get goosebumps.
Hiya, Jackie. Hey, you have a good day today, huh?
Hi, Boogie. Great. How about you?
I'm not bad. I'll have to start you.
Hi, Fred. Hi, Jack. Hi, nice guy, Fred. You know, all the boys are out tonight. There's Tommy, and I saw Vince at the bar when we came in. Not a bad combo, then, huh?
Well, they finished together.
Hey, let's see Tom Stars.
Will it be as great as that stew?
Probably not, but you didn't have to cook it. That's something, ain't it? Come on, sit down, baby.
Hey, your friend over there held the chair for his girl.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. You know me. I'm always forgetting things like that.
Yeah. Someday.
Hello, Wallace.
Oh. You.
Yeah, me. Don't you introduce your friends, Wallace?
This is Detective Masters, Precinct Gambling Detail. Masters, Miss Grimson.
How do you do?
Nice to know you. Wallace, I understand the boys made quite a killing in the 4th today.
Did they? I wouldn't know about it.
I think you would. Or you wouldn't be here with a girl.
You're the detective.
I also happen to know about souped-up odds. Some phony rumors that got around.
Look, why talk to me about that? I'm not the syndicate.
The syndicate isn't my business.
Why not, Mr. Masters?
I'm on the precinct detail.
I see. You're interested only in making everything a little harder for people like Jackie. Even when we're trying to have a good time, you come around.
You finished, Miss Grimson?
When you have the evidence, that's time enough, isn't it? Why can't you leave us alone? Why?
When I have the evidence, I won't waste time in conversation. You understand, Wallace? That's all. Good evening, Miss Grimson. Nice to have met you.
Not even to eat or dance in peace.
Oh, look, baby, that's the way it is. Always was, always will be.
Look, if you're big enough, they leave you alone.
The big fellas have lawyers. They got money, protection.
I hate a man like that.
Masters, I'll lay off him, baby. He's only doing his job.
Yeah, his job. What do I care about his job? I care about you. I care about us.
Honey, will you eat your dinner?
I don't want to eat dinner. Look, I say we can be stronger than this detective, this precinct detective.
Okay, then what?
Jackie, don't you see? Can't you see?
Oh, look, Maya, baby, all I see right now is that you're beautiful.
All right. All you ever see is right now, today, tonight, this minute.
Sure, why worry about tomorrow?
Why not? Jackie, we can be big.
Oh, stop kidding yourself, baby.
I tell you, Jackie, look, we gotta get smart. If we're smart, no more cut liquor and cheap nightclubs.
Hey, this is a big nightclub, baby. You saying it's cheap?
Look at it. Not even a tablecloth. The waiters pay no attention. The drinks are bad. The music is rotten. Oh, I know it's the best now. And you're darn sweet to give the best you can. But look, Jackie, you have friends. There can be more, many more. If we're smart, we can make it. We can make... I have a plan, Jackie, a plan. And when it works, we'll be so big, not even the cops will bother us.
You've been thinking about this.
I have plenty of time for thinking, Jackie. Now, look. Listen. The first thing we gotta do is find out how to get protection.
From the cops? Are you kidding?
Not from the cops. From having to work by yourself. So far out in the open that the cops see you.
Well, that takes money, kid. You know that.
All right. And we have no money. But we could get it. If your friends went in with you. Are you beginning to get it, Jackie?
Yeah, maybe I am. Maybe you got something, Maya, baby. We better do a little figuring, you and I. But that's for later, honey. Right now, eat your dinner. Everything's getting cold.
Okay, Jackie. Now you call a meeting. What's on your mind? If I may, gentlemen. You go ahead, son. Even if you don't understand, she's okay to look at. This is strictly business, gentlemen. What Jackie and I have to say is this. We can get us all protection. We know where and how. If you come in with us, you'll all double your incomes, and it'll cost you only a few dollars a week. That's it. And that, as Jackie said, is news.
Hey, this is quite a joint, Maya. This is real plush.
Nicer than the Club 38.
Maya.
Hmm?
Stop figuring in that book for a minute and listen.
I'm listening, dear.
You know, at the Club 38, you sang while we danced.
Yeah, I sang until that Masters stopped at the table.
You haven't forgotten that, have you?
Say, you're Wallace, aren't you?
You know, we seem to attract people to our tables in nightclubs everywhere, Jackie.
Maya, this is Stiff Ferris and,
Listen, Norton.
How do you do?
Pleased to meet you.
Won't you both sit down? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
When did you get into our town, Mr. Perez?
We flew in this afternoon.
Oh, I see.
Hey, that's our tune, Maya. You want to dance? I think Mr. Ferris and Miss Norton will excuse us.
I'm a little tired, Jackie. I like that song, too. I'd love to dance.
Go ahead, Wallace. If you want to, that is.
Maya?
Go ahead, dear. Miss Norton is our guest.
Miss Norton?
Thank you. And thank you, Miss Grimson.
Not at all.
Well, this is an unexpected pleasure, Miss Norton.
Your Miss Norton is well trained. She takes a cue very smoothly.
Yeah, a foot pressed gently under the table.
You know, she's better than you give her credit for. That was my foot you pressed.
I see. You seem to know something of my purpose, Miss Grimson.
Well, I know that Stiff is, shall we say, a kind of advance agent for the syndicate.
I represent a group of businessmen, if that's what you mean.
Well, it all adds up the same way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it does.
I assume you have some proposition to place before us, Mr. Ferris.
Before you, we know where the brains are in your organization.
Oh. Very nice compliment.
It's the truth.
Well, then, since we're indulging in the truth, Mr. Ferris, here's the truth for you. We are not interested in your proposition.
Don't you think you'd better be?
Frankly, no. I don't think you can touch my operation. I think you would find the cost made the proposition unattractive. And besides, you know, everyone who works with me is intensely loyal, including Jackie. And strong-arm tactics might cost, well, too many expendables. And now, if you will excuse me, Mr. Ferris, I'll ask Jackie to get my wrap. Oh, yes. If you want a message to take back with you, you might say that you found the partnership here is limited. Limited to two people, Jackie Wallace and Maya Grimson. Good evening, Mr. Ferris. Nice to have met you.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with The Weak Spot. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Margot as Maya Grimson in The Weak Spot. Maya Grimson walked away from Stiff Paris, found Jackie, and left the nightclub. And as all good generals do when the first skirmish has been concluded, Maya doubled her outposts and waited for the next attack. Meanwhile, the enemy was not idle. Stiff Paris and Lissa Norton make the report to their boss, Marv Harding.
And so it's no deal. That's the story, Marv.
Apparently, you'll never reach the stage of bargaining, Stiff.
The lady just wasn't interested.
Listen.
I didn't hear the conversation. I was dancing with Wallace.
According to plan.
Of course. What would you say to a little, persuasion in that territory?
No, Lissa and I cased the area before we came back here. Everything the Grimson woman said is true. Frankly, I don't think taking over by force would be worth the cost. Too much noise. The police down there are allergic to noise.
I see. She have gun salts?
Enough. It seems that everyone makes dough with her, so they'll stick by her.
Very smart operation. Only way I know for an independent to hold on to an organization is to let the little fellows make more than we can afford to let them have. But we can't afford to let her get away with it either. Too many others might get the same idea.
Now, if she puts up a good fight, it'll have the same effect. And she will.
There's a weak spot somewhere. There must be. There always is.
No, not in that outfit.
Maybe not in it. Maybe at the top.
Go on, listen.
Wallace.
Leave it to a woman. Why do you think so?
His line while he danced, his whole attitude, even the way he held me dancing.
Nah, he's just a punk.
Maybe. I can think of several classic cases where a woman lost her head over a punk.
Yeah.
Want to move in, Lissa?
Could be. I might be persuaded to take candy from a baby.
Oh, that easy, eh?
For me, it will be. And if I do...
All business, aren't we?
Well, Stiff is a very good teacher.
Thanks.
You're welcome. There's a certain bracelet. Stiff knows the one I mean. He couldn't afford it.
Break up that partnership. Take the woman's mind off her. Work long enough for us to get a foot in the door without any trouble. And you'll get your jewelry. Go to it, Lissa.
Yeah, Wallace here.
Jack, this is Lissa Norton.
Oh, when did you get in town?
A little while ago,
I'm alone this trip, Jack.
I see. Well, I'd like to see it.
Your girlfriend won't like it. I represent the enemy.
You know, there's an old saying, what she won't know won't hurt her.
Can you be sure she won't know?
I'll be sure. How about 8:30 tonight?
Have a good time yesterday, Jackie?
Didn't do anything special.
Don't you think it's a little chilly along the coast road for a convertible with the top down? You know, bright blonde hair and a green dress are rather conspicuous.
Okay, so I took her for a ride. So what?
Jack, you fool. She works for Paris and the syndicate.
She's not working now.
How do you know?
I know. Never mind how.
I want you to stop seeing her.
I'll see who I please. You may run the organization, but you don't run me.
Jackie.
Oh, I'm sorry, my baby. I'm sorry.
Yes, you're sorry, and I'm a fool. Fool enough to let you get away with nearly anything. Oh, Jackie, what's happened? We've got everything we wanted, and we've got nothing. Or it feels that way, anyhow. Oh, Jack, you're sweet.
You know, this is something new, listen. A woman, well, someone like you treating me the way you do.
When we danced that first night when Stiff and your girl got rid of both of us so neatly, didn't you know then, honey?
Did you?
I knew. I knew from the way your arms went around me.
Yeah, we do go well together, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And we could stay together. We could.
No, listen, baby, you don't know the kind of heat that's on.
Maya?
Maya may have ideas about being a big shot and everything, but she's not dumb. She knew when you hit town. She knew about that day we spent in the convertible.
Has she been watching herself?
She doesn't have to. The boys do a lot of odd jobs for her.
Takes them away from other things, doesn't it?
I suppose.
Well, aren't you interested?
Look, honey, I'm interested in the present, and you're the present.
I could be the future, too.
Oh, listen, baby, the odds are too long.
Maybe not. You know, the syndicate might throw in a bonus. Me?
What about Stiff?
Oh, we just work together.
Maya's pretty strong. How do you figure it?
You're half the team. Or are you?
You bet I am. It was all mine in the beginning.
Then you're in a spot to throw a couple of monkey wrenches, enough to weaken the organization so Stiff could get his foot in the door. After that, she'd have to make a deal or lose the works, and you'd get half of what she's got. With an extra on the side.
The extra being you.
Me.
Any samples, Elizabeth, baby? What's that?
Oh, there's somebody at the wrong door. Nobody has a key to this room, not even you, sweetheart. It's nice to have enough influence to get a bellhop to swipe a master key, isn't it? Okay. You're in. Now what?
Maya, I told you.
Have you forgotten the 2-day-old stew in the room with the gas ring, Jackie? Everything was pretty personal then.
Now you'll tell me that everything you've done was for me.
For both of us.
I was satisfied.
Want to go back to the $2 bets, Jackie, to a 10 spot every 3 months to masters pushing you around? You'll never have to do that kind of a thing.
You'll see to that, huh?
Why not? I have one reason why not. What?
Maya, you've never fired a gun in your life.
I never did a lot of things. Once I'd never broken the law, or tasted caviar, or worn nylons. But there's a first time for everything. It's like ducking back to a cop, or pulling a trigger.
Murder rap, Maya. It's murder rap.
Yeah, it could be murder and suicide if the gun was found in her hand.
Maya, for heaven's sake.
You'll never get away with it. Stiff it, no. Even if the cop don't figure it, he will. And he'll see to it that you die slow. If you'd only left him alone, did you have to have everything? You wouldn't even listen to a proposition. You were too big. You tried to fight the syndicate. You can't do that and get away with it. Keep back. Keep away from me. Afraid you'll miss? Afraid I'll jump you? You don't dare.
Maya.
It hurts.
Maya.
I can't stand. It hurts.
Maya, stop it if you're going crazy.
You aren't worth it. You aren't worth any of it. You aren't even worth keeping alive.
Maya, baby, we'll get away together. You'll see. We'll get away, you and me, just like old times.
Not worth keeping alive.
Maya!
One more. There's one more at the gun. One more. There's got to be one more. What? Not even that. Not even a bullet for myself.
What do you want of me, Miss Grimson? I didn't think big shot bookmakers of any gender bothered with precinct detectives.
I remembered your name, Mr. Malcolm.
It's nice of you. What's your story?
I killed them.
Well, you want homicide. What?
I killed that girl. And Jackie.
When did you do this?
It must be hours ago. I've been walking ever since. I wanted to kill myself. The gun was empty. I used all the bullets. I didn't have any left. I didn't have any left.
Holy smoke.
I left them there on the floor. I walked. I tried to think. I went back to the old places. I remembered you. You started it all.
I started? Look, you trying to establish insanity in this?
No, you did. You didn't know it, but you did. That night, the Club 38, I was soft. You talked to Jackie. I wanted us to be big. I tried to think. So I came here. I have files. I know the syndicate. Do you want them?
Do we want them?
I'll give them to you. They don't know. I knew they'd try to take me over. I bought evidence. Nobody knew. Not even Jackie.
Sister, if you can do this, you can go down in history. Is this a deal?
A deal? What for?
Well, you've confessed murder. After you've given us this evidence, then what?
Then I don't care. I don't care. Jackie's dead. I killed him. I killed her, and then I couldn't stand him whining, afraid of me. I don't care. I killed him. There weren't any bullets left for me. I don't want to live. I don't want to live. I don't want to live.
Crime does not pay. Margot, who was starred as Maya Grimson in The Weak Spot, will be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is Margot.
Maya Grimson was a criminal, but opportunity for her basic activities was presented to her by hundreds of people who did not look beyond their $2 bets, who did not realize that the racket they were supporting bleeds millions of dollars each year from the legitimate channels of honest business and constitutes a hidden tax that all of us have to share. Once again, it becomes clear that for the everyday citizen as well as for the criminal, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Margot. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Mark B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental. This is Bob Williams speaking.
This, I believe. Strong characters are inevitably controversial ones. Sister Elizabeth Kenny, an indomitable Australian woman, has developed, as you know, the so-called hot pack treatment to relieve the suffering and damage to muscles paralyzed by polio. Many medical authorities oppose her system. But with the help of a number of Americans, particularly in the Twin Cities, her Sister Kenny Institute in Minneapolis has grown and flourished. In the fall of 1951, she came to the United States to dedicate a huge new wing of the Institute building. When Sister Kenny first came to America, she was a vigorous woman. But this time she was dying. Her body was ravaged by the apparently incurable Parkinson's disease. She said this would be her last visit, but before sailing back to Australia, she consented to make a statement of her beliefs for this program. But she was pressed for time, and she had neither notes nor script. The engineers of station WCCO were obliged to record her voice in her hotel room, which accounts for the noise of traffic and other disturbances you may hear. But they do not drown out the message of Sister Kenny.
I have been asked to express what I believe. Well, I believe, according to Scripture, that whom he did predestinate, him he also called. That everyone is born into this world for a certain procedure or destiny. And they are given a certain powers as time goes along to fulfill that destiny. Some do, against all odds, walk the pathway that is destined for them, casting aside all obstacles, overcoming all difficulties, and eventually reaching their goal. This cannot be done of oneself alone. It is also written, I can of my own self do nothing. This is true in my own experience. I've had that faith since the age of 12 years, and it is well known amongst my companions and those who work with me that I have at many times desired a certain thing. Great obstacle has been put in my way when I am trying to present to the world the truth concerning the work which I have been destined to give to this world. And by some unforeseen agent, the very evidence I so desire has come before me just at the crucial moment when it is most important that it should. And this has been my faith in my life. And the fact that I have withstood all temptations, all invitations to step aside and go other pathways, but proceed along my own destined path until at last victory has been crowned, has been achieved, and my endeavors crowned with success. I think this simple statement may reach the hearts of many of those who, unfortunately, are pulling against the stream, and encourage them to go on in the great faith that they are destined to some particular objective, and they must not fall by the wayside.
That was Sister Elizabeth Kenny, who dedicated her life to the fight against polio and lost her own health in the bargain. She was ill when that statement was recorded in Minneapolis. When she stopped suddenly, the engineers urged her to go on and talk more about her own life, but she said she had spoken all she had to say. One of them remarked then that though her body might have been weakened, her spirit was alive and strong.
Calling all detectives. You'd think a private detective sees enough of crime. But I once went out looking for murder. That is the situation on this page from my casebook. The casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. It doesn't take a private detective like me, Jerry Browning, to realize that everything is relative. The telegram was from the little town of Pendleton, and it said, "I'm coming to spend a few days with you. Save your big cases until I arrive. Signed, Enoch Browning." It was just like Uncle Enoch, a man who never bothered with details, such as when he'd be arriving, at what station, or the possibility that I might be busy.
"Jerry, put away your gadgets. Kith and kin come a-calling."
I grinned. "Uncle Enoch, I just got your wire this minute. Come on in." Uncle Enoch Browning came in, plumped his old-fashioned telescope suitcase on my desk.
"No crooks in the closet, are there, Jerry?"
The detecting business is a bit slow right now. There's nobody here but us Brownings.
"Oh, you mean nobody took a shot at you today?"
"Nary a one, Uncle. But I will take you out and buy you some dinner."
"Dinner be hanged. I come to town for excitement. Jerry, let's go out and dig you up a murder."
When my Uncle Enoch arrived from Pendleton, he wanted me to serve him up a nice, fresh murder. The best I could offer him was a behind-the-scenes tour of the Police Homicide Bureau.
"You call this a crime bureau? Why, those men are playing pinochle."
I shrugged and looked apologetic. "I guess it's slow all over, Uncle." Before he could make any more cracks, I steered him into Lieutenant Dawson's office. When Enoch demanded a murder to help solve, Dawson grinned.
"Ain't enough crime to go around, sir. Your nephew solves them before they get real started."
Dawson winked at me, and Uncle Enoch snorted.
"Lieutenant Dawson, where at your place the underworld hangs out at?" "Well, Mr. Browning, you couldn't do better than the Purple Slipper."
I groaned. The Purple Slipper was a flossy nightclub where larceny ran high, but was confined to the check. Uncle Enoch didn't realize that Dawson was kidding, insisted on going to the club at once. Dawson egged him on, finally added,
"You two go on, and I'll join you later."
So, there we were, in the middle of the crush at the Purple Slipper. I slipped Charlie, the head waiter, $5. He palmed it fast, and in 2 minutes had a table for us. I told Charlie to leave an extra chair at the table for a late arrival. Charlie just glared at me and stalked off. I stared after him. Wonder what's biting him.
"He's mortified because I caught him, low-down crook. Thought he could get away with picking your pocket. Here's your $5 bill back. I plucked it from his thieving fingers."
"Oh, no. Unc, order yourself a drink. I'll be right back." I found Charlie, straightened things out with him at the expense of still another $5 bill, told him that I was expecting Dawson. Then I went on back to our table, found a tall glass of lemonade there, but no Uncle Enoch. I finally found him, in Big Mike Hardock's private office. Uncle Enoch was sitting next to a youngster I recognized as Winthrop Walker III, a kid with a lot of dollars and no sense. Walker and Big Mike, who owned the Purple Slipper, were playing casino. Uncle Enoch was kibitzing. I swallowed hard. "What are you doing in here, Uncle Enoch? This is a private game."
"What's private about casino? It's a game for children."
Big Mike grunted.
Not at $5 a hand, it ain't."
He glanced at me briefly.
"If this character belongs to you, Browning, get him out of here."
Winthrop Walker shook his head.
"He stays. He's bringing me luck."
Walker was right, except that he didn't say what kind of luck, because on the next deal, as Big Mike shuffled the cards,
"Mike, you just slipped a 10 of diamonds up your sleeve. You've been cheating right along, and I won't pay off."
Walker grabbed at Big Mike's arm. There was a scuffle, and a moment later...
"You see, Jerry? This is a den of murderers. Arrest that man. Why don't you arrest him?"
It was a good question, especially with Big Mike's gun pointing at me. "Well, you and I better be going, Uncle Enoch."
"Sit down.
Nobody's going no place. We ain't scared of you, mister. Our friend Lieutenant Dawson's coming here first, and if he don't find us, you'll be in trouble.
That did it. Big Mike phoned outside, talked to Charlie, confirmed that we really were expecting Dawson.
Browning, you're going back to your table with the old gent. When Dawson comes, get rid of him. After that, we'll do whatever needs doing.
With two of Big Mike's gun-toting bouncers to back up his orders, I had no choice except to obey. They took us back to our table and then stood over us. Uncle Enoch took a big drink of his lemonade, looked around with enjoyment. At last, he was having fun. Then I got an idea. Let me taste that lemonade, Uncle Enoch. Big Mike's boys didn't say anything as I took the glass. When I fumbled and dropped a match into it, they just sneered at my nervousness. I fished out the match, then started fooling with a cigarette. Along about then, Dawson came in.
Hello, Jerry, Mr. Browning. Catch any criminals yet?
Bouncers moved in on us. I smiled at Dawson. Uncle Enoch and I have a special date, and you are not included, Dawson, so run along. Dawson looked hurt and protested. Finally said,
Okay, if you don't want my company.
He got up from the table. I picked up the cigarette. Here, Dawson, smoke this for old time's sake. Outside. Dawson stared at me and took the cigarette and stalked out. One of the bouncers tapped my shoulder.
You did that okay. Now let's go for a ride.
I got up slowly. I wanted to make that last mile last as long as possible. My one chance was that Dawson would smoke the cigarette as instructed. The bouncers herded us outside to the lobby, and then it happened. Dawson was standing in the lobby and firing his gun at the ceiling.
Don't anybody move. The place is surrounded.
Well, that's all there was to it. The police got Big Mike, and Uncle Enoch was a hero. But it was Dawson who sent out the riot call after he lit that cigarette and read my one-word message on it. Help. I'd dipped a match into the lemonade and written the word on the cigarette paper. Lemon juice is a wonderful invisible ink, and it shows up as brown writing when the paper is heated. Like I said, no matter what odds are against you, if you act slow and think fast, you can even make a killer holler uncle. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives. Mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, Private Detective.
For the last time, Walt, please let me go.
Nuts.
Then it has to be this way.
No, drop that gun.
I'm sorry, Walt. Very sorry. I've known all along you had to die tonight. But I didn't know. I killed you.
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a minute in The Man Who Died Yesterday. And now, Murder at Midnight. Tales of mystery and terror by radio's masters of the macabre. Our story by William Morwood is The Man Who Died Yesterday. car comes around the curve. Slows up. Stops.
Looking for a lift? Are you headed for New York?
That's me. Hop in.
Thank you. It's very good of you. I'm in a hurry to reach New York. I haven't much time, you see.
Yeah, sure. I picked you right off for a big executive on his way to a board meeting.
Oh, nothing like that. It's just that, there's something terribly important I've got to do. A mission.
Oh, Salvation Army, huh?
No, United Nations. I have to see the Secretary General before midnight tonight. That leaves me only 8 hours.
The United... You feeling all right, pal?
Yes. I was sick, but I'm feeling fine now.
You don't look so good to me. Why does it ghost? Of course, you could do with a haircut, too.
I suppose so. I'm afraid I've been out of touch with civilization a long while. By the way, my name is... rather was... David Hapgood.
I'm Walt Griggs.
Can't you drive any faster, Walt? We've still got a long way to go, and... well, I'm worried about this part of the road. There's going to be a rock slide and...
Rock slide? Oh, you mean those signs? That's nothing to worry about. They put them up front.
It's all right. Keep going, Walt. We got through safely.
Yeah, but there was a rock slide, just like you said.
Of course, but...
How did you know?
I can see ahead, Walt. See into the future for 24 hours.
Nuts, of course, but still, what are the odds against calling a long shot like that? 1,000,000 to 1? 1 billion? I gave up trying to figure it. We drove along for about an hour and then stopped for gas. There was this hamburger joint right by.
Where are we going, Walt?
Grab a bite.
Oh, but there isn't time. I've less than 7 hours now, and by midnight
I gotta gas up anyway, and I'm hungry. Come on, Hap. Hello, sugar. Sit down, Hap.
What'll it be, boys?
Hamburger for me, sweetheart, with onions. What's yours, Hap?
I'm not hungry.
Oh, busy with your speech for the United Nations, huh? Well, I'll just read this racing form while you're thinking.
Racing form?
Sure, I play the G's all the time. Got some important dough on today's meet. $50 on Alistair to win in the 6th.
Alistair?
Yep.
I'm afraid you'll lose your money, Walt.
What? Don't kid me. Alistair's a hot favorite. It's going to be a walkaway.
Marble the Third won that race.
Marble? What are you nuts? He's a rank outsider. 100 to... What do you mean won the race? It hasn't been run yet.
Hasn't it? I didn't know.
Look, wait a minute. Sweetheart.
Yeah?
You think you can get the races on the radio?
Oh, sure. It's all tuned in. A lot of our customers like to listen.
Walt, we can't waste time like this. Who can think about a horse race?
I can. Remember my $50.
This is a great race. The crowd is going wild with excitement. They're around the bend now, coming into the straight. Alistair is out in front by 2 lanes. The rest of the horses bunched. Alistair is going strong.
Boy, where's your marble, Hap? Wait.
Entering the last stretch now. It's a walk away for Alistair. 4 lengths ahead and no challengers. Wait a minute. Alistair stumbles. Carrying in stride. He's down.
What?
The jockey's going clear, but Alistair is... The other horses have gone fast. Number 8 is out in front. Number 8, Marble the Third. Marble the Third. Marble the Third. And Marble wins. Rio!
Turn that thing off.
One for the books, folks. The most extraordinary...
I'll be... You knew it all the time, Hap. You knew Marble had to win.
Of course. Walt, we've got to go.
Sure. Sure, Hap. Anything you say. You're the guy I've been waiting for all my life. I didn't need no more figuring to tell me Hap was a gold mine. And I had him first before anybody else could get their hooks into him. The only thing that worried me was the way he talked. All this about midnight, not having much time. I had to use him while I had him, even if it meant taking chances. So while we drove, I worked on a plan.
Walt, we've left the New York road. The signs are pointing the other way.
I know. I'm taking a shortcut through a town called Hasek.
Hasek?
Yeah. That name mean anything to you, Hap? Hasek? Think hard.
Let me see. There's going to be a hold-up there tonight at the factory. 2 men involved. There's still the week's payroll, $10,000.
$10,000, huh? They get away with it?
There's a chase, but they shake off the police.
Great. Couldn't be better.
Why?
We're the 2 men, Hap. You and me.
What? No, Walt, no, I'm not a criminal. And I've something else to do with what little time I have left.
You're coming with me, Hap. Maybe this will convince you.
The gun doesn't frighten me. Stop the car and let me out. I've got to get to New York.
All right, look, I'll make a deal with you. You come with me on the stick-up, and I'll drive you straight through to New York without stopping. Hey, on?
But I can't, Walt. My message concerns the whole world.
It's the only way you'll get to deliver it.
Well, if it is the only way, all right. There's something more I've got to tell you, Walt.
What's that?
We leave a dead man behind.
It's getting dark when we hit town. I drove down the main street and onto the factory building beyond. It was all dark except for a light in the cashier's office. Hap and I went in. There was a guy sitting at a desk.
Who are you? What do you want?
There's $10,000 in that safe. This is a stick-up, brother.
You're crazy. There's no 10.
Open up. I'll do the talking.
I warn you, man. You'll be caught for
Shut up and start turning that dial.
All right. I guess you win.
Come on. Snap into it.
I'm doing the best I can.
That's it. Now hand out those greenbacks. Come on, get a move on.
Watch out, Walt. He's turning in an alarm.
You double-crossing rat. It's the guy that had to be killed, Hap?
Yes.
Okay, then step on it. The cops will be swarming around like flies.
Walt.
You can't go any faster. I'm down to the floorboards already.
They'll start shooting soon.
You sure we get away? There's no slip-up?
No. We get away all right.
Good.
Where did they get you, Walt?
I am. What do we do, Hap?
Keep driving till we hit that bend in the road.
Yeah?
There's a clump of willows around the corner. Pull in there.
Okay. Here goes. Stop the lights.
Off. No hurry. Get back to the New York road. I've less than 3 hours left.
Okay, but I gotta stop and see a doctor.
A doctor?
Sure, my arm. Oh, what's the matter, Hap?
I'm afraid of that doctor. Something happens there that I don't understand.
What is it?
I don't know. It's something I should have explained before. I can see into the future for you, Walt, and for everyone else. But not for myself.
You the doctor?
What can I do for you?
Oh, my arm. I had a little accident. I was cleaning my gun and it went off.
Come into my office.
Okay.
This man?
He's just a friend of mine. Nothing the matter with him.
I don't agree. Looks much sicker than you do.
No, doctor, really.
Your face, it's the color of...
No, I'm all right. Believe me. Please hurry with my friend.
It'll only take a second. Just get my stethoscope.
Let's quit kidding around, Doc. I'm the one that...
Quiet. Good Lord.
What's the matter, Doc? Why are you looking at him like that?
But it's impossible, of course, but there's no heartbeat.
No.
But that's impossible. If your heart wasn't beating, you'd be...
Dead? Yes. I've been dead since yesterday at midnight.
Staring at him, at the living corpse of the man who died yesterday, Walt and the doctor draw back in horror. Just who is David Hapgood? Perhaps we'll know when the clock strikes 12 for Murder at Midnight. man who died yesterday.
The goose pimples were standing out on me. Here I found the guy. I'd been with him for hours through a hold-up in a kiln. And now I was hearing from his own lips that he was dead. It gave me the creeps. I wanted to take it in the land, but instead I was froze to the floor. I heard the doc saying,
"You've been dead since yesterday?"
"Yes, doctor."
But that's impossible. There must be some explanation, some obscure heart condition.
There is an explanation, but not that kind. You see, I was cheated out of 24 hours at the time of my birth, and I'm just making up for it now.
How do you mean?
This will sound fantastic to you, but nevertheless it's true. I was born on a ship crossing the international date line. I started coming into the world during the last moments of a Friday and finished up early on Sunday. So I skipped a whole day of my life. I've always been living 24 hours ahead of myself.
But that's sheer
gospel, Doc. He can call the turn on anything like he was reading tomorrow's paper.
I told you it would sound fantastic, Doctor. But it is true. When I realized it, I tried not to use it for selfish ends. I wanted to help people, but I never could. People would never listen to me, believe me. Finally, I realized that there was no place for me in the world, that man wasn't meant to know the future. So I went away, up into the woods.
How long ago?
About 10 years ago. Away from civilization, it was easier. I still knew what was going to happen, of course, but with no way to communicate my knowledge, my conscience was at rest. That is, until last night.
Last night?
I had caught a cold. It developed into pneumonia. I was deathly sick. I couldn't breathe, and lost consciousness. Then suddenly, at midnight, I was well. Quite well. Not a trace of my illness. I knew what had happened, of course. I was dead. But I still had my missing day to live. I knew I must use it for the benefit of mankind.
How?
There's something I know. Something that involves the fate of millions of people. Unless some action is taken within the next few hours.
What action? What is it?
I'm sorry, but I can't tell you, Doctor. I can't tell anyone except the Secretary General of the United Nations. And I must reach him before midnight, before I'm really dead.
It's getting on to 10 o'clock.
Now do you understand why I'm in such a hurry?
I'll say, let's get going, Hap. Never mind about my arm. That can wait.
No, listen to me, Hap. You can't leave.
What?
As far as your being able to read the future is concerned, well, it doesn't matter whether I believe it or not, but that heart condition of yours, that's something unique in medical history. Now, you've got to let me take you to a hospital where it can be studied properly.
Lay off that stuff.
I'll phone for an ambulance.
Stay away from that phone. He's mine.
Yours? But do you realize what this can mean to science?
Don't give me that talk. You just want to grab him off for yourself.
Nonsense.
Stop it, both of you. I don't belong to anyone. I'm not a specimen to be examined. I've got a mission to perform for all of civilization. I've got to get to the United Nations before...
Now, no matter how you've been deluding yourself, young man, you're terribly sick. I'm going to phone the hospital.
Okay, you asked for it.
I must get away from here.
Hap, come back here. Come back here. Okay, if you're dead, it won't hurt you. If you're not... Oh! Holy smoke. That bullet went right through you and only knocked you down.
Let go of me, Walt.
Try to run away, huh?
I've got to get to New York. Nothing can stop.
You're coming with me, Hap. I got plans for us as long as you last.
You've got your 10,000. What more do you want?
A chance to run it up to 100,000 and we can do it. I know the place and you can call the cars.
But there's no time.
I'm figuring in only a couple of hours. That's plenty.
Listen, Walt. I'm asking you for the last time. Let go. Do a decent thing for once in your life.
Nuts.
What I'm trying to do, it's for you as much for millions of others.
I never gave a cuss about the others, and I'm not starting now.
All right, Walt. Then it has to be this way.
Hap, drop that gun.
Oh! I'm sorry, Walt. Very sorry. I'd known all along that you had to die tonight. But I didn't know that I'd kill you.
Type, ain't you?
Sorry?
Oh, that's all right. I don't like fellas that gab too much. You know, it was nice of you to pick me up back there on the road.
I was lonely. Besides, I needed reassurance.
How's that?
You see, I've been out of touch with civilization for some time, and the people I've met today weren't inspiring.
You're a strange guy, do you know it?
Am I?
Yeah, I mean, the way you talk and look. You don't look quite real. Oh, now don't get me wrong. I like you a lot.
Oh, I'm glad.
Well, for instance, we've been driving for nearly an hour now, and you haven't even made a pass at me once.
I'm afraid that wouldn't do either of us much good.
Yeah, but just the same, a girl appreciates a little thing like that. Incidentally, what's your name?
You can call me Hap.
Hi, Hap. I'm Hazel.
How do you do?
Well, I guess I ought to tell you something about myself.
Well, I know a little already.
Huh?
You're going to New York to find your fiancé, aren't you?
Yeah, a guy called... Say, how'd you know that?
You're going to look him up in the phone book and call. And then you're going to find out that he's married.
What? Oh, you're kidding me. Jim wouldn't do a thing like that. He'd wait for me forever. He said he would. And, hey, why are we stopping?
Almost out of gas.
Howdy, folks.
Fill her up as quickly as possible.
Okay.
How far to New York from here?
Well, you ought to be at George Washington Bridge in about 10 minutes.
Fine.
You folks hear about all the excitement on the highway?
No, what happened?
Well, the cops are looking for a crazy killer. Murdered 3 people. One was a stick-up, and the other 2 was a doctor and his own sidekick.
Oh, what's he look like?
Well, according to the radio, he's got a chalk-white face, a mop of hair that looks like it hasn't been cut in weeks, no hat, and...
What's the matter, Bud? What are you staring at?
Your friend, I gotta get something out of the office. I'll be back in a minute.
He's going to phone the police. This is your chance to get out, Hazel.
Oh, no, I'm staying with you, Hap. Now, you better get moving and keep moving. No sign we're being followed. We may make it yet.
Are you frightened, Hazel? Being with me?
I guess I should be, but I'm not.
Thank you.
Somehow I can't believe you're crazy. If you killed anyone, you knew what you were doing and you had a good reason.
Thank you again. You don't know what that means to me.
Have people always been scared of you, Hap?
Most people. Till I met you. Why couldn't I have met you sooner, Hazel?
Well, what's wrong with now?
It's a little late.
Not for me.
You honestly mean that?
Sure.
Well, then perhaps it's going to be all right after all. Perhaps we'll meet again.
What do you mean?
I didn't mean to tell you this. Perhaps I shouldn't now. It may cause you pain.
Go ahead. I can stand it.
After you call Jim your fiancé and find that he's married, you start across the street in a daze. Tex is driving too fast and...
It's got my number on it, huh?
Yes, I'm sorry. And yet, in a way... What did that sign say, Hazel?
George Washington Bridge, 2 miles.
Oh, I'm going to make it. There's still time. The Secretary General is in his home. They'll let me in when they hear my message. I'll have most of an hour with him. It's not quite 11 yet.
11? Hey, your watch must have stopped.
What?
Look, there's a clock on the building.
Where?
Up to the right, there.
3 minutes of 12. Oh.
Well, what's the matter, Hap?
Oh, I can't make it. Oh, I've lost. Unless... a telephone. There's still time for that.
Well, why are you stopping here? There's no phone.
In that house, the family's all in bed upstairs. There's a telephone in the parlor.
But the door's sure to be
They've
locked.
forgotten to latch the parlor window.
Hey, how do you know all these things?
Never mind now. Goodbye, Hazel.
But I'll be waiting here.
No, you'd better start down the road. The police mustn't find you.
But when you come back, I'll be here.
I won't be back, Hazel. This is goodbye. For keeps.
But you've got to come back. You've got to.
Operator, get me the Secretary General of the United Nations at his home. Hurry, please, it's urgent. Hello? The Secretary General, please. It's terribly important. No, I've got to speak to him personally. Midnight. Hello? Will you get him for me? There's no time left, and... Never mind. I'll tell you. It's about...
That's his car outside, officer. I'll swear to that.
Must have climbed in this window. We better go in and have a look.
There was a girl with him when he left my gas station. She ought to be around.
Where's the light?
Here. There he is. On the floor. And he looks...
He's dead, all right.
No wonder. Look at that hole in his chest.
Wait a minute. There's something funny here. That wound never bled.
Huh?
And the only way that could happen is if he was dead before the bullet hit him.
Two men staring at a corpse that is finally still. Still forever. The corpse of the man who died yesterday. While outside, somewhere in the night, a restless spirit keeps a rendezvous that none can avoid. And the distant clocks chime the last note in epilogue for murder at midnight. Remember to be with us again when death brings time to a full stop and the clocks strike 12 for murder at midnight. The part of David Hapgood was played by Stuart Brody. Vandell Kramer was Walt. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M.
This I believe. Mrs. Ella May Howey is a Cleveland, Ohio housewife and mother who, since becoming hard of hearing, has worked hard to help others similarly afflicted. The statement of creed in which she gets at the ideas behind this unselfish service won first prize in a contest sponsored by the Cleveland Press. Here is Mrs. Howey.
I believe I can live an abundant life, so I'm dissatisfied with an adequate life. I believe I can be constructively creative, so I'm not content with some accepted ruts of living. I believe these things are possible for me because I believe in a personal, loving God. 6 years ago, I could not have understood that, let alone say it. I never thought or wondered about a belief. Then I learned I had a physical handicap that usually became progressively worse. Self-confidence and inner strength were conspicuous by their weakness, and self-pity took over. There are times in a life when knowledge of other heavier burdens is little consolation and comparisons are futile. At 33, with a considerable life expectancy and a husband and sons whose love and respect I cherished, I soon realized two things. I would have to manage this problem or else it would manage me, and what happened was unimportant, but how I accepted, faced, or overcame what happened was very important. A new eagerness to learn joined my established feelings of inadequacy and doubts. An intensive search that was objective and wary began. What I discovered replaced the air of catastrophe in my life with an air of personal revolution. Developing convictions grow stronger and deeper each year. I believe that an all-powerful God created the universe with a plan, easily observed in nature, that includes man. That as a human spirit I enjoy or suffer from a distinctive ability to choose. That God's plan is the most exciting, satisfying way to live and requires self-development plus outgoing work. That it calls for unfamiliar self-disciplines but results in expanding horizons and greater happiness. That to pray for my will to be done is presumptuous and impractical, but to pray for God's will and be willing to accept it in my life is realistic and right. That, try as I may to avoid it, and I have tried, any improvement must start within me. That to perform good works in public and win ego-comforting praise is meaningless unless my family receive the best of my kindness, patience, and love. That the alternative is to discount God. For believing these things, I can find no straddling position. To practice and study for physical and mental skills or artistic technique seems very logical, but I admit it surprised me to learn that an understanding and awareness of God takes the same kind of consistent practice and study, but soon it too made sense. My continuing choice of God's will and unending search to understand God better have helped reveal unsuspected abilities and strength in my own life. Recent achievements, though insignificant to the world, surpass anything I would have dared outline for myself. This indicates to me the potential power and possibilities available within all human spirits, waiting only for faith, initiative, and energy. These 6 years have been demanding, yet joyous, and after a glimpse of the dynamic living and potential accomplishments in a life, I could choose no other way. Is it any wonder that I anticipate the second half of my life with awe? I'm just beginning.
That was Mrs. Ella Mae Howie, a Cleveland housewife and mother of 2 sons. She reacted to her own loss of hearing by learning to write and speak to adult education groups on hearing problems.
New post-war Old Dutch cleanser, famous for chasing dirt, presents Nick Carter, famous for chasing crime. Every week at this time, 2 great names are joined, as new post-war Old Dutch cleanser brings you one of the most resourceful and daring characters in all detective fiction, Nick Carter, Master Detective.
Why do you suppose he doesn't answer the door, Nick?
I don't know, Patsy. Maybe if we look through this window, we can see.
Well, Nick, what's the matter? What are you staring at?
Look over there on the floor by the sofa, Patsy.
Huh? Why, there's a man lying there. He's been shot in the forehead.
Confound it. He's the one man in the world who could have told us why a young man who had everything to live for should want to take his own life.
And now, the case of the Flowery Farewell. Today's exciting adventure starring Lon Clark as Nick Carter, brought to you by new post-war Old Dutch cleanser. As our story opens, we find Nick seated at his desk in his office, intently studying the front page of the evening paper. Patsy stands behind him, reading over his shoulder.
Nick, it says he was only 35 years old.
Yes, Patsy, he was one of the richest industrialists in the world.
And he ends up by throwing himself in a lake. Oh, it just doesn't make sense, Nick. Why would a man like that take his own life?
Well, the suicide note he left in his car tells why. It's reprinted here in the paper.
Oh, is it? I didn't see it.
Yeah, right down here at the bottom of the column.
It is not the number of years a man has lived that enables him to say his life was justified. It is the richness and fullness of his experience. I say farewell to my own life with deep regret, and yet I am convinced that it is better for a man to die in his prime quickly and painlessly than to let old age destroy him by slow stages. Well.
Pretty flowery farewell, isn't it?
Well, I'll say. Imagine anyone sitting down and...
Oh, I'll get it.
Okay.
Nick Carter speaking.
Mr. Carter, my name is Mrs. Holt. Mrs. Douglas Holt.
Yes, Mrs. Holt.
I wonder whether you can come to my home this evening. My husband and I would like to speak to you about the death of our very good friend, Miles Kincaid.
Oh, yes, the man who committed suicide.
The man who died, Mr. Carter. Whether or not he committed suicide is what we'd like you to find out.
Well, so far, Mrs. Holt, I'm afraid you haven't given me any really solid grounds for your suspicions that Kincaid didn't kill himself.
But, Mr. Carter, Miles had everything in the world to live for. He was rich, famous, and happy.
Well, according to his note, he wanted his life to end at the peak of his success.
Yes, but what about his call to me yesterday? He said he had plane reservations and was leaving for Florida very soon.
My wife checked on that, Mr. Carter. It's true.
Yes, if he were going to commit suicide today, why would he make arrangements for a trip at a future date?
Let me ask you this. You're implying that Kincaid was murdered. But do you know of anyone who would have any reason to kill him?
Well, no, I don't.
How about you, Mr. Holt?
No, I can't think of anyone.
And yet you both knew him well, didn't you?
Oh, yes. In fact, well, Miles and I had quite a crush on each other a good many years ago. That was before he introduced me to Douglas.
He and I were partners at that time. We had a little organization that we called Inventors Incorporated. We broke up after a while, but we never lost touch with each other.
And in all these years, he made no serious enemies?
Well, of course he might have, without our knowing it.
Well, it still doesn't add up to murder, does it, Nick?
No, not to me.
Then you won't investigate this matter for us, Mr. Carter?
Oh, I didn't say that, Mr. Holt.
Oh, I wish you would, Mr. Carter. I just know something's wrong somewhere. I've got an intuition about it.
Very well, Mrs. Holt. I have a lot of faith in a woman's intuition. If there has been a murder, I promise you I'll find it out before the night is over.
Did you talk to Sergeant Matheson on the phone, Nick?
Yes, and you should have heard the horse laugh he gave me when I suggested that Miles Kincaid might have been murdered.
Oh, that must mean the handwriting experts are sure about the suicide note.
They are. Matty says there's absolutely no question about it. It wasn't a forgery.
Well, that pretty well settles it then, doesn't it?
Perhaps. But at least it won't hurt to take a look at Kincaid's home.
We're almost there, Nick. It's the house at the end of this street.
All right. Matty wasn't even going to hold an autopsy.
Did you ask him to?
I did, and he finally agreed to it.
Good.
All right, hop out.
Whom do you expect to see here, Nick?
Kincaid's valet, a man named Harry Otis.
Oh.
Holt says he was probably the last man to see Kincaid alive.
Yeah, but do you think you... What was that, Nick?
Somebody moaning. Someone in pain.
It came from those bushes by the side of the porch.
Yeah, come on.
There he is, Nick, lying in the bushes.
All right, give me a hand, Patsy.
Yeah.
Pull him out.
Yeah.
Watch out for that thread.
Okay.
There, that does it.
My head.
Yeah, what happened to you?
Who are you?
Nick Carter, private investigator. Who are you?
Harry Otis. I was Mr. Kincaid's valet, sir.
Well, what happened to you?
Someone rang the doorbell a few minutes ago. I opened the door, but there was no one there, so I stepped out on the porch. That's all I remember.
He must have been slugged from behind, Nick.
Yeah, come on.
Where are we going?
Whoever slugged him may have wanted to get into the house. Could still be there.
Okay, Nick. If Miles Kincaid committed suicide, Nick, what's this all about?
Your guess is as good as mine, Patsy.
The front door is open.
Don't make any noise.
No one in the living room. Would he have gone upstairs?
Wait a minute. Listen.
Nick, it's someone moving around.
Right. Behind that closed door over there. Let's drop in on him. Unexpectedly.
Right.
Oh, confound it.
Is the door locked, Nick?
Yes. Guess we'll have to announce ourselves after all. Open up! Open this door! Yes, firing through the door. Not hurt, are you?
No, but it was awful close, Nick.
Oh, it's all quiet in there now. Afraid he's giving us the slip. That gunfire was probably intended to cover his getaway.
What are we going to do?
Only one thing to do. Shoot the lock off. Stand back.
Yeah.
There.
Oh, Nick, he must have gone out that open window.
Yeah, no use going after him in the dark.
Oh, shucks. Oh, will you look at this room? It must have been Kincaid's study.
Oh, it's a mess now. My friend tore it apart, every drawer, every
What
file.
could he have been after?
I don't know. But there is one thing I do know.
What's that, Nick?
As of now, I'm definitely interested in how Miles Kincaid really died.
Why, certainly, Mr. Carter. As Miles Kincaid's lawyer, I'm happy to help you clear up any questions you have regarding his death.
Well, first, Mr. Randolph, who stood to benefit by his death?
Well, all of his wealth is to be divided among various foundations and charitable institutions.
What? He left no private bequest whatsoever?
Only a comparatively small one to Melvin Dudley.
Melvin Dudley. That's the publisher, isn't it?
Yes. Miles had arranged with Dudley to publish his memoirs, and he left a few $1,000s to cover the cost.
Then Kincaid was writing his memoirs at the time of his death.
He practically finished them, though that fact wasn't commonly known.
I see. But what about all his property holdings? He must have had an enormous estate.
Not anymore. He'd sold everything in the past year, converted it all into cash. There's just one piece of land that he held on to.
Oh, where's that?
Over in the poorer section of town, on Montrose Avenue. That's to be sold at auction now that he's dead.
But I don't understand, Randolph. Why on earth would he have disposed of all his possessions at the age of 35?
You'd almost think he knew he was going to die.
He did, Miss Bowen.
What?
He and his personal physician and I were the only ones who were in on his secret.
What secret?
Mr. Carter, in 6 weeks, Miles Kincaid would have been dead of heart trouble.
Why are we going back to the office, Nick?
I want to call Mary and check on the autopsy.
Oh. Nick, you promised Hope that before the night is over, you'd at least know whether or not Kincaid was murdered. Do you think you will?
I don't know. All we found out so far is that he had a better reason than we thought for doing away with himself.
Yeah, but that still doesn't explain the mysterious visitor at his house tonight. And also, Oh, that's our phone, Nick.
Oh, yeah, here, I got the key.
Good. Hurry, Nick, before they hang up.
Okay. Nick Carter speaking.
Nick, this is Matty.
Oh, yeah, Matty, I was just going to call you. What'd you find out?
Kincaid was drowned, all right. His lungs are full of water.
What? Well, that settles that.
No, it doesn't, Nick.
What do you mean?
His lungs are full of water right enough, but the water was full of chlorine.
Chlorine?
Yeah.
But there's no chlorine in lake water.
You're right, Nick. But there's plenty of it in the city water system.
And Miles Kincaid was drowned before he was thrown into the lake.
Right.
And that means murder.
Well, Nick knows at last that the wealthy young industrialist did not die by his own hand. But why Miles Kincaid left a suicide note, or why anyone would want to kill a man who was doomed to die from heart trouble within 6 weeks, are questions that are still unanswered. We'll continue this baffling adventure in just a moment. And now, back to The Case of the Flowery Farewell. Today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by new post-war Old Dutch Cleanser. As we pick up our story, a half an hour has passed. Nick and Patsy have joined Matty at the Kincaid home and, guided by Kincaid's valet, Harry Otis, have just entered the murdered man's bedroom.
I see the bed's been made, Otis. Did you do that today?
No, sir. No one's been in here all day.
Well, in that case, Kincaid didn't sleep here last night, Nick.
Apparently not, Matty.
But his dressing gown's on the bed, and there's one of his ties on the floor behind that chair.
Yeah. Was Kincaid fully dressed when your men found him, Matty?
Well, sure. He had on a brown business suit, a blue shirt, and a green tie.
A green tie?
Yeah.
Oh, no. You must be mistaken, Sergeant.
Now, don't tell me. He had on a blue shirt and a green tie.
Sergeant, Mr. Kincaid would never have worn a combination like that. He was very particular about his clothes.
Now, listen, Otis.
Hey, Matty, wait a minute. This all adds up.
Huh?
Otis, take a look around. Does this room seem just about the same to you as always?
Why, no, sir, it doesn't. The bed's been pushed back farther than usual, and the chairs are all against the wall.
Hey, I'm beginning to catch on, Nick.
Otis, where were you when your employer retired last night?
I had the evening off, sir. I drew his bath water for him, then I went out.
Uh-huh.
When I got back, I assumed he was asleep.
You drew his bath, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, Matty, at least we know how he died.
But
Huh?
you think he was killed here, Nick?
I do. He was probably getting undressed when the murderer found him.
And they had a fight?
Yeah, that's why the furniture's out of place.
Yeah, that would also account for the bruises on Kincaid's face. We figured they was from being hit against the rocks in the lake.
Yeah. Well, he was probably knocked unconscious in this room. Then the murderer took him into the bathroom and held his head underwater until he was dead.
Oh, how horrible.
Then he dressed him again. Must have been in such a hurry he didn't see the tie Kincaid had taken off. So he grabbed one out of the closet without even noticing the color.
And then he carried him out, shoved him in his own car, and drove to the lake.
But what about the suicide note?
I've got a little theory about that, too.
What sort of theory?
I'd rather not say until I've had a chance to confirm it.
But how are you going to do that, Nick?
By dropping in on a publisher named Melvin Dudley and asking him a few questions.
I guess there's no one home.
Yeah, there must be, Patsy. I saw a light at the side of the house.
Well, let's go around the side porch and take a look in the room where the light is.
Okay, Nick.
Oh, you're just wasting time.
No. Here, Nick. We can look in through this French window.
Oh, look at all those papers scattered all over the floor.
Hey, looks like a cyclone's been through here.
Hey, Matty.
What?
Look over there beside the sofa.
Beside what?
Sofa.
Holy smoke. Nick, there's a man lying there.
Smash the glass with your revolver. We gotta get in there.
I'll say we have. All right, stand back.
You reach the latch?
Yeah, I got it. Holy smoke. Look at this guy, Nick.
Yeah. Shot through the head.
That's Melvin Dudley, Nick. I've seen his picture in the paper.
Well, you'll see it again tomorrow, Patsy, all over the front page.
Hey, Matty.
Yeah, Nick.
This paper's on the floor. Huh? Ever seen any just like them?
What? Yeah, sure. They're the same kind of paper, the same handwriting as the suicide note.
What I figured. And look, here's a typewritten letter among them.
Huh?
To Melvin Dudley from Miles Kincaid.
What's it say, Nick?
I'm enclosing the manuscript of my memoirs. Everything is here except the foreword, which I'm working on now. Well, there's the answer to your suicide note, Matty.
What do you mean?
It was written by Miles Kincaid, but it wasn't intended as a suicide note.
Then what was it, Nick?
A page from the foreword to his memoirs. The murderer stole it last night from Kincaid's house and planted it in Kincaid's car as a suicide note.
Oh, no wonder it sounded so flowery.
We're up against the smart operator, Nick.
Plenty smart, Matty. But he's made one big mistake.
Huh?
When he killed Melvin Dudley, he should have taken those memoirs with him.
Morning, Nick.
Oh, hello, Matty. I've spent a very dull night reading Kincaid's memoirs.
Oh, yeah? Find anything interesting in them?
Yeah, but the most interesting part isn't there.
Is that... I don't get you.
Matty, unless I'm all wrong, these memoirs should hold the key to Kincaid's murder.
How do you mean?
Well, apparently, when Kincaid learned he was going to die, he decided to leave behind him a document that would expose somebody.
Uh-huh.
Somebody he hated.
And you think this somebody got wind of it and knocked Kincaid off so as to get hold of the document?
I do. But he didn't get hold of it because Kincaid had already sent it to Dudley.
Uh-huh.
The murderer realized that after he went back and searched Kincaid's study.
So he went to Dudley's house to get it and ended by killing Dudley.
Right.
But look, Nick, why didn't the murderer take the memoirs while he was there?
He did.
He what?
At least he took that part of them which incriminated him. There's one whole section missing from the manuscript.
Oh. Got any idea what was in that section?
Yes, Mary, I have.
Good boy.
When Douglas Holt and his wife put me on this case, Holt told me that he and Kincaid were once partners in an outfit called Inventors Incorporated.
Inventors Incorporated?
Yeah. But there's no mention of any such organization anywhere in the memoirs.
Hey, Nick. Then maybe the...
I'm back, Nick. Oh, hello, Sergeant.
Oh, hi, Patsy.
Yeah, what did you find at the newspaper morgue, Patsy? You got any dope on Kincaid's background?
Plenty, Nick. And about that company called Inventors Incorporated.
Yeah?
There's something funny about that.
Funny? In what way?
Why, there was a third partner.
Third partner?
Uh-huh.
Who was he?
A man named Peter Jarrett.
Peter Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
No mention of him in the memoirs either.
Hey, Nick, are you thinking this Jarrett guy might be our man?
I don't know about that, Matty. But I am thinking that it's strange that Holt and his wife didn't tell me about this Peter Jarrett. I wonder why.
I know I should have mentioned Peter Jarrett to you, Mr. Carter, but frankly, I was sticking to an agreement that Miles Kincaid and I made long ago.
What sort of agreement, Mr. Holt?
To cover up for Jarrett in spite of the raw deal he gave us.
Oh, he gave you a raw deal?
He certainly did. Jarrett wrecked Inventors Incorporated by walking out on us one day, taking with him what little capital we had.
And you never saw him again?
No, never. But I'm confident he's still alive.
Nick, Peter Jarrett must be our man.
Well, he certainly had a motive for killing Kincaid. If Kincaid was planning to expose him in the memoirs he was writing.
You say Miles was writing his memoirs, Mr. Carter?
Yes, he was. They were practically complete when he died.
Well, then it all adds up, doesn't it? Only a man like Jarrett who wanted to get hold of those memoirs before they were published would have had a motive for killing a man who was going to die anyway.
Yeah, but the question is, how can we get our hands on Jarrett?
Well, I can tell you where his wife lives. She ought to know where he's hiding out, if anybody does.
Oh, good. We'll go see her. I have an idea that when we find Peter Jarrett, we'll have this case sewed up.
Yeah? What do you want?
Are you Mrs. Jarrett?
What's it to you?
I'm Nick Carter, private investigator.
A dick, huh? You get out of here.
Not this moment, Mrs. Jarrett.
I said, get out. Mrs. Jarrett, don't do that.
Put that gun away, please.
You come one step closer and I'll start shooting. So help me.
I don't think you're going to shoot anyone with that gun. I'll take it.
Why, you...
And the next time you want to fire a gun, Mrs. Jarrett, remember to lift the safety catch.
Nice going, Nick. Pretty darn smart, ain't you?
Now, perhaps you better talk to us.
I ain't talking to no cops.
Why not?
Because I'm sick of you guys. You've been hounding me for 10 years, ever since Pete disappeared.
You wouldn't know where your husband is, would you?
Are you crazy? I wouldn't be living like this if I knew. Him with all that dough.
When did you see him last?
I ain't seen him since the day he went to work and didn't come home.
And where was your husband working the day he disappeared?
He was working over at that house on Montrose Avenue.
Montrose Avenue? Why, that's the one piece of property that Miles Kincaid held on to after he sold everything else.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mrs. Jarrett. I'm very grateful to you.
What? I didn't do nothing for you.
Oh, yes, you did. You just gave me the last piece of a very complicated jigsaw puzzle.
Oh, Nick, what a horrible, musty old place.
It should be musty. After all, nobody's been down in the cellar for over 10 years. Not since Miles Kincaid and Douglas Holt closed up the business they called Inventors Incorporated.
But what do you expect to find here, Nick?
The key to 3 murders, I hope.
3? But only 2 men were killed.
Patsy, if my hunch is right... Wait a minute.
What do you see, Nick?
Look where my flashlight's pointing. Notice anything about that slab of concrete over there?
Why, yes. It's a different color from the rest of the cellar floor.
Right. Because it was laid at a different time. Let's see. It's about 3 feet wide and 6 feet long, isn't it?
Nick, you think that's a grave?
I do. I think a man has been buried under that slab of concrete for 10 long years.
Patsy stares at the circle of light from Nick's flashlight. Who is buried in the musty cellar on Montrose Avenue, and what bearing his death has on the murders of Miles Kincaid and Melvin Dudley, we'll find out in just a moment. And now for the conclusion of The Case of the Flowery Farewell. Today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by new post-war Old Dutch Cleanser. Almost an hour has passed since Nick and Patsy discovered what Nick believes to be a grave in the cellar of the abandoned house on Montrose Avenue. They left the cellar for a time, but have now returned to it and are waiting impatiently.
Not a sign of him yet, Nick.
He'll be here, all right. Can't afford not to come.
I still don't understand why you're so sure he's the murderer.
You will before long.
Yeah, but...
Hold it. Here he comes.
You down there, Carter?
Yes, we're here. Come on down.
What's this all about, anyway?
Familiar territory to you, isn't it?
It's been a long time since I was here. This is where Miles Kincaid and I had our laboratory.
You, Miles Kincaid, and Peter Jarrett. Don't forget Jarrett, Mr. Holt.
That's right. Oh, by the way, have you got a line on his whereabouts yet?
I've done better than that. I've found it.
What? Well, where is he?
Right where you and Miles Kincaid buried him 10 years ago.
What are you talking about, Carter?
I'm talking about murder. You and Kincaid killed Jarrett and buried him down here.
That's ridiculous.
Probably did it so that you could steal an invention of his. And you spread the word that he'd run off with your funds.
You must be out of your mind.
No, but I imagine you were nearly out of your mind when Melvin Dudley happened to mention to you that Kincaid was writing his memoirs.
Why should that worry me?
Because you guessed that he was planning to expose your part in the murder. Something he couldn't have done during his lifetime without incriminating himself.
What?
When the police dig up Jarrett's body...
They'll never dig it up, because you won't be alive to tell them about it. Don't reach for your gun, Carter. I've got you both covered.
Holt, you made a bad mistake when you admitted that your new Kincaid was a dying man. That was a tip-off on you, especially since you neglected to tell me that fact when you hired me.
Well, I slipped up once, but I won't slip this time. I'll take you first, Carter.
No, Holt. I'll take you first.
What the...
Drop your gun, Holt. I got fight behind
I'll kill you. You... Oh, my hand. Oh, nice shooting, Nick. You cut that gun right out of his hand.
And you made a nice dramatic entrance, Matty.
Well, you set the stage for it, Nick, when you put me behind that packing box.
Oh, I thought you'd never come out of there, Sergeant.
Yeah, well, I'd have been out sooner, Patsy, only my pants got caught in a nail.
Oh, Sergeant.
Yeah, and my new suit, too. Okay, Holt, let's get moving. No use hanging around this damp cellar when we got a nice dry cell waiting for you down at headquarters.
Then Jarrett's body was buried in the cellar, Nick.
Yes, Patsy. And the case is closed.
Not quite, Miss Carter. Not until you've told me how Holt found out that Kincaid was dying of heart trouble.
Well, according to the statement Holt gave Matty down at headquarters, Kincaid told him.
He did?
Mm-hmm. When Holt went to inquire about the memoirs, Kincaid gloated that he'd be dead in 6 weeks, and that everybody would know that Holt was a murderer.
But why on earth did Kincaid want to expose Holt?
Patsy, don't you remember what Mrs. Holt told us? That she used to go with Kincaid? Well, Kincaid never forgave Holt for taking her away from him.
Oh, I get it. He couldn't get even with Holt until after he himself was dead.
That's right.
Yeah, but I can't understand why Holt brought you in on this case.
He didn't. His wife did.
What? You mean it was her idea to hire you?
Sure. She knew nothing about the murder of Peter Jarrett, and she had no idea that Holt had killed Kincaid. She just didn't believe that Kincaid had killed himself.
Mm-hmm. And when she wanted to call you, her husband had to agree with her so she wouldn't get suspicious of him.
That's it.
Oh, brother. When you walked into that house and took the case, it must have been life's darkest moment for Douglas Holt.
The darkest so far, Patsy. But the state is planning an even darker moment for him in the very near future.
Can you tell us something about the adventure new post-war Old Dutch Cleanser is going to bring us next week, Nick?
Next week, Mike, we're going to meet a man who was honest and upright for 5 years in order to build up to a fraud worth $500,000.
Only his plan broke down because he put his fraud in an envelope.
A fraud in an envelope? Well, that sounds exciting. What do you call this adventure?
I call it The Case of the King's Apology. Friends, this is Nick Carter again. And I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Cudahy Packing Company to salute the 49th Annual Convention of the National Association of Retail Grocers, which begins today in Atlantic City. The independent retail grocer is your good neighbor, bringing you fine foods from all parts of the nation and of the world. So let's all doff our hats to this very important businessman, the independent retail grocer.
Nick Carter, Master Detective, is presented each week at this time by the Cudahy Packing Company. It is produced and directed by Jock McGregor and is copyrighted by Street & Smith Publications, Incorporated. Charlotte Manson is featured as Patsy. Ed Latimer plays Matty. Today's script was written by Lou Schofield and Ken Pettis. Original music is played by Henry Silverne. This program is fictional, and any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. This is Michael Fitzmaurice saying, when minutes count, use new post-war Old Dutch Cleanser. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This, I believe. Elmer H. Bopst began his career as a pharmacist's assistant in a Philadelphia drugstore. Now he is president of Warner Hudnut Incorporated, which makes drugs and cosmetics. He was born in Clear Springs, Maryland, a village in the Blue Ridge Mountains. His father was a Lutheran minister. Bopst never went to college. He educated himself by constant reading. He has long been interested in medical research. He now lives in Montclair, New Jersey. Here is his creed.
While taking my boat down the inland waterway to Florida a few weeks ago, I decided to tie up at Georgetown, South Carolina for the night and visit with an old friend. As we approached the Esso dock, I saw him through my binoculars standing there awaiting us. Tall and straight as an arrow he stood, facing a cold-penetrating wind. Truly a picture of a sturdy man, even though his next birthday will make him 82. Yes, the man was our elder statesman, Bernard Baruch. He loaded us into his station wagon, and we were off to his famous Hobe Car Barony for dinner. We sat and talked in the great living room where many notables and statesmen, including Roosevelt and Churchill, have sat and taken their cues. In his 82nd year, still a human dynamo, Mr. Baruch talks not of the past, but of present problems and the future, deploring our ignorance of history, economics, and psychology. His only reference to the past was to tell me, with a wonderful sparkle in his eye, that he was only able to get 8 quail out of the 10 shots the day before. What is the secret of this great man's value to the world at 81? The answer is his insatiable desire to keep being productive. 2 of the hardest things to accomplish in this world are to acquire wealth by honest effort, and having gained it, to learn how to use it properly. Recently I walked into the locker room of a rather well-known golf club after finishing a round. It was in the late afternoon, and most of the members had left for their homes, but a half-dozen or so men past middle age were still seated at tables, talking aimlessly and drinking more than was good for them. These same men can be found there day after day, and strangely enough, each one of these men had been a man of affairs and wealth, successful in business and respected in the community. If material prosperity were the chief requisite for happiness, then each one should have been happy. Yet, it seemed to me something very important was missing. Else there would not have been the constant effort to escape the realities of life through scotch and soda. They knew, each one of them, that their productivity had ceased. When a fruit tree ceases to bear its fruit, it is dying, and it is even so with man. What is the answer to a long and happy existence in this world of ours? I think I found it long ago in a passage from the book Genesis, which caught my eyes while I was thumbing through my Bible. The words were few, but they became indelibly impressed on my mind. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat thy bread. To me, that has been a challenge from my earliest recollections. In fact, the battle of life, of existence, is a challenge to everyone. The immortal words of St. Paul, too, have been and always will be a great inspiration to me. At the end of the road, I want to be able to feel that I have fought a good fight. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith.
That was Elmer H. Bobst, a drug and cosmetic manufacturer, a self-made man in the American tradition.
Wheaties presents Night Beat. On stage tonight, transcribed from Hollywood, Night Beat, another in the Wheaties big parade of exciting half-hour presentations. Night Beat.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the Night Beat for the Chicago Star. Stories start in many different ways. And sometimes when you pick up the threads of a yarn and start putting them together, you find you've woven yourself a shroud.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
Did you know? Wheaties at 7 can help at 11. They really can. The world isn't half so tough to face when you've got a good breakfast under your belt. And it doesn't matter what part of the world you're facing either. Farmers can farm better, actors can act better, salesmen can sell better on a better breakfast. And that's what you start with when you start with Wheaties. Because here are flakes of whole wheat. Whole wheat. with the vitamins, the minerals, the wonderful, life-giving energy of whole wheat. The very things you need to get work done that you're meant to get done in the morning. Of course, it's no fun getting up in the morning to just a batch of vitamins and minerals. Wouldn't that be dull? But it's fun, you bet it is, to lay spoon to crisp, flaky little flakes called Wheaties. Pour on the cold milk, put on the fruit you like best, and eat happy. Breakfast of champions. Breakfast for you. Come on now. See how Wheaties at 7 can help at 11.
A great poet once wrote about Chicago. He said it was a city built by men with muscles and a willingness to use them. Well, Chicago is still full of willing people. Some willing to work and others willing to let them. You take Gus Reed, who broke jail last week while doing life for murder. Not that he ever became bent with honest toil. He just got crooked trying to avoid it. But now he was out, escaped with a famous hood named Neil Ramsey. When I dropped into the precinct station to see if there were any late developments, the boys told me there might be some later on. So I stepped out for a cup of coffee and a sandwich at Harpoon Louis, a few blocks down the avenue.
Oh, hello, Mr. Stone. Been several nights since I've seen you. Working hard?
Well, I've been on the jump. What's good tonight?
Got a fresh baked ham that's quite tasty.
That's a deal.
On white or rye?
Rye, I guess.
Mustard and pickle, I presume?
Yeah, and a cup of coffee. Well, look what just walked in.
Huh?
Looks like the man from Mars. What happened, kiddo? Your flying saucer breakdown?
Oh, well, goodness, you're a big boy to be wearing a Halloween mask.
Shut up.
What's the big idea?
What's it look like? This is a sticker.
The kid was sandy-haired, skinny, and as nervous as a two-headed boy at a scalping party. A mask covered his entire face, a fantastic false face with a couple of rubber antennae quivering over the eyebrows. Very amusing, until you looked down and saw the .38 in his fist.
All right. You, behind the counter. Open the cash register. Let's have it, quick.
Well, all right.
Easy with that gun, kid.
Shut up, Neil. Empty your pockets.
Anything you say. Easy on the trigger. Here you are.
All right. You behind the counter. Just lay that money on the showcase.
It isn't worth it, you know, son.
I'll just stake that.
As the kid stepped forward, his eyes on the money, I lunged swinging. He whirled as my fist smashed against his wrist. The gun hit the floor, and I snatched at his mask, ripping off a corner as the elastic snapped. He jerked away, tripping me as I grabbed him. I fell. The last thing I remember as my head hit the radiator was his white face as he jerked open the door and darted out.
Help! Please!
When I came to, I was lying on the floor with the delicatessen owner and a couple of cops standing over me. I stared up at them, my brain knee-deep in fog.
Oh, that man's gone, huh?
Oh.
How's your head feel, Stone?
Oh, it's sagging like a wet circus tent.
Here, let me help you out, Mr. Stone.
Thank you. I can manage.
Say, here's the description of the kid that Louis gave us. See how it checks with you, will you?
Okay. Yeah, that's right. About 13, 5'3", light hair. Mm-hmm.
I suppose you'll be able to trace him by that gun he left, won't you?
Oh, it's probably stolen.
Why do you suppose a boy, a child, would do a thing like that? You suppose he was hungry?
Those little rats are just born mean, I know.
But all this juvenile delinquency we've been having lately, can't something be done?
The only answer is treat them rough. Got to be twice as hard as they think they are.
Well, tombstones are hard, too, officer, but they generally have a good word or two for the people beneath them.
Okay, Mr. Stone. After what happened to you tonight, I'll leave it to you to find a good word for them.
Well, heaven help us if we don't.
Come on, Joe. Be at Detective Headquarters first thing in the morning, will you, Louis?
Yes. Well, I suppose I'd better make a report to my insurance company.
Uh-oh, what's this?
What is it, Mr. Stone? You find something?
Yeah, a piece of the kid's mask. Tore it off when I grabbed him. Police must have overlooked it flying there on the floor.
Well, it Doesn't matter, I suppose.
No, maybe not, but it's the part that has the price label stuck on the inside.
Oh?
Yeah, with the name of the store printed on it. Eddie and Mabel's, refreshments, toys, novelties. Louie, where's your telephone directory? The address turned out to be down in the low-rent district. I hopped a taxi, and in a matter of minutes, I was standing in front of Eddie and Mabel's, staring at the toys littering the dusty showcase. Among them lay a few tired-looking masks, each one identical with the one the kid had worn. I went in.
Yeah? Something I can do for you?
I was just noticing those masks in your window. Have you sold any recently?
Masks? Who sells masks this time of year? Why?
Well, I just wondered.
A drummer comes in and sells my husband masks. Can you imagine? In April, my husband buys masks for Halloween.
Well...
A hat he's got on him. 2 months we have these masks in stock, and how many do you think we sell? One single mask. A businessman, he calls him.
Just when did you sell that one mask?
Well, it so happens just this morning. To a 13-year-old boy who needs it like I need a hole in the head.
Who is he?
His poor mother slaves all day long in a laundry, and he spends money on junk like that. Does it pay to have children, I ask you?
What's his name?
Reed, Jimmy Reed. Oh, I feel sorry for his mother. Such a bum that kid is. But with that kind of a father, what can you expect?
Oh, wait just a minute. Did you say Reed? Who is his father?
Gus Reed, the gangster who breaks out of prison. It's in all the papers.
Oh, yeah. I see. How is it that you know the boy and his mother so well?
Why shouldn't I? They live in the apartment house on the corner. Why?
Oh, thank you. Good night. I could have sworn that I'd heard dim voices as I'd approached the door of the Reed apartment, but now there was nothing but silence. The silence of an enemy holding his breath.
Who is it?
Does Jimmy Reed live here?
What's he done now?
Are you Mrs. Reed?
Yeah. Are you from the police?
Oh, no, but I'd like to see him for his own good.
Well, he's not here now. If you'll come back tomorrow,
Look, lady, if I go now, I'll be back with a cop.
Let him in. If it's so important. Come in, pal. No sense bothering the cops. I said come in. And keep those mitts lifted high.
It was the infamous Neil Ramsey, the lad who busted out with Gus Reed. He stepped from behind the door, lean and dark, his mouth grinning, but his eyes as cold as rigor mortis. Eyes I'd seen staring from many an FBI poster and Rogues Gallery album. And behind him, the heavier, red-eyed Gus.
Well, what are you waiting for? Come on in.
Okay, Gus, I'll go along with the crowd. Those guns you've got look like a big crowd to me.
Hey, Pop, that's the guy who jumped me at the delicatessen.
Hi, Jimmy. The boy made a slight mistake, Gus. He didn't keep his eye on the sucker.
You and your lousy $2. I would have done all right if you hadn't stuck your big fat nose in.
Yeah, not much of a teacher, are you, Gus? But then I don't suppose I can blame you. You never had nerve enough to stick up anybody yourself. You shot him in the back and then robbed him.
So I ain't got nerve, huh?
Show him, Pop.
Gus, don't. Please don't needle him, mister. He's been drinking.
Yeah, I know. Whenever he gets into trouble, he tries to pull himself out with a corkscrew. You can't do it, Gus.
He said Papa's yellow.
So I'm yellow, huh?
Oh, sure. You're a colorful character, Gus. A red nose, white liver, and a yellow streak.
Yellow, huh?
Don't try it, Gus. Shoot and you'll get the chair this time.
Keep your hands up, yellow, huh?
Gus, no!
I'll show you.
His gun butt cracked against my skull, and I staggered backwards, tripped over a constellation of stars, and fell into darkness.
Why did you do it? Why did you do it? You killed him. Killed him.
General Mills is bringing you Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
We have a special treat for you tonight, and here's Ed Prentice to tell you about it.
Thanks, Frank. Folks, I'd like you to meet an old friend of mine. Here's Luke Appling, the dashing young man of the Chicago White Sox.
Cut it out, Ed. I've been playing ball for the Sox for over 20 years.
Why, that's way back before Wheaties baseball broadcast.
That's almost way back before Wheaties. And say, Ed, speaking of Wheaties, I brought along some peaches from down home in Georgia. Reckon we can locate some bowls around here? Maybe the cast would like a little snack after the show.
Well, what could be better than that? A Wheaties champion dishing up the breakfast of champions for a bunch of champion actors. Stick around, Luke. I got a whole case of Wheaties waiting for you.
That's swell, Ed, but could I have just one bowl now? Wheaties are awfully tough to wait for.
And now back to Night Beat and Randy Stone.
When I found myself the prisoner of a couple of fugitive killers, I should have played it dumb instead of giving out with a smart talk. Might have saved me a crack on the head to match the one I got in the delicatessen store. When I came to, I was lying on a sofa, limp as a poached egg on toast. I turned my head and I saw Mrs. Reed with Lieutenant Saunders of Homicide.
Looks like he's coming out of it. How do you feel, Stone?
One more dent in my skull. I'll rent it for a golf ball. So Gus and Neil got past you, huh?
No, they won't get past the roadblocks we set up.
How'd they get out of the house? Over the roof?
Yeah, same way they got in, apparently.
Old stuff. You should have figured that, Lieutenant.
Oh, sure. Just like you figured on finding him there when you stuck your nose in.
Yeah. Jimmy go with him?
Jim's a child. Baby, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's a good boy, Mr. Stone. It's all his father's fault. He's twisted Jimmy. He thinks his father's a hero.
Okay, Mrs. Reed, that wraps it up. We're through here for the time being.
After Lieutenant Saunders and his men left, I tried to get the answers to some questions I'd missed. For instance, why had Gus and Neil come here? What they wanted?
Food, liquor, money. They took everything I had.
Have any idea where they might be heading?
I only wish I knew.
Well, Gus broke out a week ago. If this is the first time he's been here, there's a chance he's been laying low in a hideout, probably just outside of Chicago.
I don't know.
Mrs. Reed, do you think Jimmy's known about the hideout? Has his father been in touch with him this past week?
I don't know. He's been acting so strange.
Mm-hmm. You think Gus could have contacted him before he broke out? Or that Jimmy might have known in advance?
Well, how could he?
Did he see his father in prison lately?
No, not lately.
Uh-huh. Gus write him very often?
No, not nearly as much as Jimmy wrote him.
He kept his father's letters?
Oh, of course. Kept them like they were treasure.
Can you get them? I'd like to look them over.
I'll see if I can find them.
I studied the half dozen or so letters that Mrs. Reed brought me and found nothing. They were uniformly dull, stupid, and apparently without significance. That is, all except the last one.
Jimmy got it a couple of weeks ago. Read it.
Be a good boy and don't get mixed up with the old Lakeside gang or the bunch at the tavern. Abandon the road to evil. It doesn't sound like Gus, does it?
Trying to get good with the prison censor, that's why. Putting on that hypocrite.
I get homesick off and on. Your accident on the Compton Highway was tough. Yours truly, your own hand.
Compton Highway? I don't know what Jimmy told him, but he certainly didn't have any accident.
What about the Lakeside gang?
Oh, I never heard of it.
This bunch at the tavern he mentioned.
Well, I tell you, it doesn't make sense. Jimmy would have told me if there'd been any trouble. I know he would have.
Abandon the road to evil. No, you're absolutely right, Mr. Reed. It doesn't make sense. I held it up to the ceiling light, and there it was. Pinpoints of light gleaming through 8 words in the letter.
What is it?
Does this make any sense to you? Old Lakeside Tavern, abandoned road off Compton Highway.
Lakeside Tavern. Of course. Gus used to work there.
When?
Years ago. It was a beer parlor.
On an abandoned road?
Well, it wasn't then. They built a shortcut later that bypassed it. The place was condemned.
Well, I'd better be going.
I'm going with you.
On a hold?
You can't stop me. Jimmy's there.
We don't know that.
Well, if that's where they are, he's there, and I'm going.
Now, look, the best thing that we can do is go to the police and tell them
No,
what
Mr. Stone, please. They'll be shooting. Jimmy will be killed.
As long as he stays with...
Even if he isn't, if he's arrested there, it'll make things worse for him than they are now. Please, Mr. Stone, let's do it my way.
But what? What can you do?
Well, get him away from there first before the police come.
Well, I'll probably regret this, but come on. We took a taxi to the garage where I picked up my car, and we headed out past Lincoln Park, turning southeast for the highway. You sure we turned off at the right place?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
This is part of the old road. There. There it is, the tavern between those trees.
Oh, yeah. Uh-oh.
What is it?
Thought I saw a light in one of those windows.
Oh, I didn't see anything.
Now, look. We passed a filling station about a mile back down the road. Be much better if we went back and buzzed the state highway.
Oh, no.
Hey, what are you doing? Hey, wait!
Jimmy! Jimmy!
Look, you want to get us killed?
There's nobody here.
All right, let's get back to the car and get out of here.
Wait.
What are you doing?
I'd like to take a look inside.
Why?
Well, they may have been here and gone. Please wait. We might come on a clue.
Everything comes to him who waits, including a hearse.
It's unlocked.
Now, let's get a match going. Okay, let's go in and watch out for snakes.
Don't you ever knock?
Well, I was afraid we'd find a snake in here. Hiya, Neil.
Stay right where you are, wise guy.
What are you doing there in the dark? Waiting for something to develop?
You know, that door with the moonlight behind you makes a very nice frame. I couldn't miss.
Jimmy! Jimmy, where are you?
Cut it out, sister. Okay, Gus, open up the lantern. We got him.
Yeah.
Gus.
Yeah.
Close the door, mister.
So you found the place, huh?
Gus.
Well, I hope you're satisfied.
Gus, where's Jimmy? What's happened to him?
What's happened to him, she says. Here I am sitting with a bullet in my chest, and all she hollers is what's happened to that dumb little punk.
Gus.
She sees me.
Gus, where is he?
Oh, dry up. He'll be back. I just sent him down the road for a can of gas.
Where's your car?
You think we'd leave it out in front?
What happened to Gus? Who shot him?
What difference does it make? This is one story you ain't covering, pal. There ain't no kibitzes tonight. You dealt yourself in, and your cards don't look good, pal. Not with me holding 6 bullets in my hand.
Well, like they say, Neil, the game is always darkest before you've drawn.
Yeah, well, you don't get no more cards, friend. You're through.
The roadblock. Of course. Gus got it when you crashed the roadblock.
Give the sucker a cigar.
You know, I'd get a bang knocking you two off right now. But just in case we do have trouble, maybe we could use a hostage or two.
Hostage? Neil, that's a $2 word.
Yeah. I got a 39-cent rope to go with it. Turn around, both of you. Well, I guess that'll hold you for a while. Keep him covered, Gus. As soon as the kid gets back, he can come upstairs and stand watch at the window while I come down and take over. Give you a chance to sleep.
Yeah.
And if they try anything, let them have it.
I can handle it. You go on.
Gus, I don't care what you do to me, but your son, your own flesh and blood.
Shut up.
Gus, please. Listen, Gus. All this time I've been saving, hoping to have enough to send him to college someday, and then you come back.
College? All right, so I'm going to college. I got some deals covered. Look, you help me get out of this spot. I mean, we'll have enough dough. The Gold Coast Servants College, huh? So I'll send him to college.
But you can send him to college, Gus, now.
What? What are you talking
You're worth $5,000. Dead or alive.
Reward for me?
$5,000. Look, let Ann turn you in. Let her, Gus. She'll get the reward. Just cut us loose.
What kind of a sucker do you think I am, you lying?
All right, then. All I got to say is you better see a doctor before morning if you expect to live.
Shut up. I'll dance on your grave, you creep.
What's the use of kidding yourself? You're dying. You're just sitting there dying. Your only chance is a doctor now before it's too late. I don't have to tell you, Gus. That bullet's in your lungs. And when you start to go, it'll be fast. Nothing will save you.
Go ahead and die, why don't you, now?
No, look.
Someone's coming.
Jimmy!
Ma, how'd you get here? How did you have to tie her up?
Hey, punk!
Neil, hey, why'd you have to tie her up?
Seen you come up the road with that can of gas. Where is it?
Outside.
Well, get it in the car. You hear? Make it snappy.
Yeah.
And when you're through, come on up here.
Okay. Ma.
It's all right, Jimmy.
Jimmy, Neil will kill your mother. You've got to cut us loose.
Oh, no. No, he won't. Everything will be all right, Ma.
I gotta get to a doctor.
You haven't got much time, Gus.
I gotta get out of here.
Jeepers, Pop, we can't. Maybe if I can get Neil to let me go for a doctor.
A doctor won't do him any good here. He's got to get to a hospital.
Yeah.
But, Pop...
But I'm dying. I can't lay here and just die.
But, Pop, Neil said all the
Neil
roads...
be hanged. He can burn for all I care.
It's your only chance, Gus. Not only for yourself, but for your wife and Jimmy. The reward will help.
Reward? What difference does that make to me? Look, I gotta get to a hospital. Look, I'll cut you loose. You gotta help me. Huh? Roll over.
Right. Close enough?
Yeah. Make a sound like a sound, you little rat, and I'll blast.
Gus, he won't. He won't.
There. Now your hands are loose.
Give me that gun and the knife. Okay, Mrs. Reed.
Oh.
And now your ankles.
Oh.
There you are.
Okay. Just stand right where you are.
Neil.
Yeah. Your partner.
Neil Ramsey stood at the head of the stairs at the other end of the big room. I could barely make him out in the dim gloom, but you didn't have to spotlight his .45 to know that it was looking down at us.
Drop the rod, journalist.
He came down, crossed the floor, his face twisted in the kind of grin you see pictured on labels over the word poison.
So you want to go to a hospital, eh, Gus?
Neil, I can't breathe.
And I can blame for all you care, eh?
No, I didn't mean it that way, Neil.
You want to go to a hospital, give up. They can't give you a worse sentence than what you got now, is that it?
I wouldn't say anything, Neil. I
But me, I burn when they catch me, eh? But you don't care. That's okay by you, eh?
I'm no good to you, Neil, please. Please, Neil, don't do it. I wouldn't double-cross you, I swear I wouldn't.
Yeah, you swear. I'm just looking at you, Gus. I'm wondering why an operator like me, who's supposed to have a few brains, ever tied up with a cheap, yellow...
Oh, Pop's not yellow.
What's the matter, punk? Does the truth hurt? Well, he'll tell you so himself. Go on. Tell him, Gus. Tell him you're a cheap, yellow lout. Tell him or I'll...
I'm a cheap yellow lout. Oh, please, Neil, please let me alone. I can't breathe. Please.
You can't breathe, eh? Well, nobody that can't breathe belongs in any hospital.
Neil.
No.
The place for him
No.
is the morgue.
No.
You butcher! You shot my Pop. You shot him. I'll kill you!
The kid flew at him, and as he wheeled to shoot, I put everything I had into a right that struck behind his ear with a shot that jarred me to my toes. Neil lay at our feet, sprawled out as cold as a witch's kiss. Jimmy stared down at him, the frenzy draining from his face. And something else went out of him, too. He turned slowly, and he stared at Gus's dead face for half a minute.
Why did he do it? Why did Pop do it? Do what, Jimmy? What, dear?
They're yellow. Yellow! He turned yellow!
Look, Jimmy, I know he was your pop and it's tough, but without his gun, he was nothing. Nate would have turned yellow, too, if Gus had had the drop on him. Without their guns, without having that advantage, they're all yellow, Jimmy, all of them. Begging for their lives and licking your boots and asking for mercy that they themselves would never give. People like that aren't heroes, kiddo. It takes a lot more than a gun to make a hero. A lot more.
Jimmy.
And you know what, Jimmy? You can be different. I think you have what it takes.
Jimmy, dear.
He'll be all right, given half a break. I'm sure of it. 4 a.m., the morning still dark with leftover night. A few hours from now, Mrs. Reed will find out that there is No reward for Gus, that I lied trying to trick him into letting us go. But she'll feel better about it, maybe, when she finds out there is one for Neil and $5,000 worth. So maybe Jimmy will have his chance for an education after all. That is, after we straighten out a slight case of armed robbery and aiding to escape convicts. This is going to take quite some straightening, but when it comes to kids, even at 4 a.m, I'm an optimist. Well, so that's it. It isn't often life ties up a story with a rose-colored ribbon. Usually it just leaves the loose ends dangling. So, well, let's tie it up. Copy, boy.
You are listening to Night Beat on the Wheaties Big Parade.
And here's the star of Night Beat, Frank Lovejoy. Got your Wheaties on you, Frank?
Oh, no, I hardly ever carry them with me, Frank, but I always know where I can get them, you know. We have a place on the cupboard shelf at home reserved for the Wheaties box.
Well, I suppose with a couple of youngsters digging in, the Wheaties don't last long at the Lovejoy house.
Oh, that's for sure. We really go through them.
So do we. I guess there are a lot of families like ours, Frank, where Wheaties have a reserved place on the cupboard shelf.
Well, I can't think of a nicer whole wheat flake to reserve a place for, Frank. Good night.
Good night, Frank Lovejoy. Get your Wheaties, everybody.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy, is produced and directed by Warren Lewis and edited by Larry Marcus. Tonight's story was written by Irvin Ashkenazi and John Robinson, with music by Frank Worth. The part of Gus was played by Bill Conrad. Bea Benaderet was Anne. Others in tonight's cast were Jack Crucian, Sheldon Leonard, Jeff Silver, and Parley Bear. Listen next week at this time and every week as Randy Stone searches through the city for the strange stories waiting for him in the darkness.
And this is the Wheaties man, Frank Martin, inviting you to listen also on Tuesday, that's tomorrow night, to the Penny Singleton Show on the Wheaties Big Parade. See you then.
Night Beat came to you transcribed from Hollywood. Stay tuned now for Top Secret, starring Alona.
This I believe. My good friend and colleague Elmer Davis once said that the business of the radio commentator is a job of adult education. Throughout his distinguished career, he has done just that. 3 Peabody Awards attest only in part to his accomplishments. Here now his beliefs.
The philosopher George Santayana, at the age of 88, admits that things no longer seem as simple to him as they did 50 years ago. Even those of us who have not reached Mr. Santayana's age must share that feeling. But we must act by the best light we have, hoping that the light will grow brighter. And we have reason to hope it will, so long as men remain free to think. The most important thing in the world, I believe, is the freedom of the mind. All progress and all other freedoms spring from that. It is a dangerous freedom, but this is a dangerous world. You can't think right without running the risk of thinking wrong. But for any evils that may come from thinking, the cure is more thinking. Over much of the world at present, the freedom of mind is suppressed. We've got to preserve it here, despite the efforts of very earnest men to suppress it. Men who say, and perhaps believe, that they are actuated by patriotism, but who are doing their best to destroy the liberties which, above all, are what the United States of America has meant to its people and to humanity. This is perhaps a less personal statement than most of those in this series. If so, it is because a man of my age, in his relation to himself, runs mostly on momentum, and it's a little difficult to look back and figure out what gave him the push, or the various pushes. What he has to consider now is what he can contribute to the present or the future as a member of a very peculiar species, possibly even a unique species, which has immense capacities for both good and evil, as it has amply demonstrated during its recorded history. That history to date is, barring some unpredictable cosmic disaster, the barest beginning of what may lie ahead of us. But we happen to live in one of the turning points of history, by no means the first, as it will not be the last, and the future of mankind will be more than usually affected by what we do in this generation. What should we do? Well, first of all and above all, preserve freedom and extend it if we can. Beyond that, I don't know how better to define our business than to say that we should try to promote an increase of decency. Decency in the sense of respect for other people, of taking no advantage, of never saying, this man must be miserable in order that I may be comfortable. This is not as easy as it looks. It's impossible to exist without hurting somebody, however unintentionally. But there are limits. I do not believe that human life is accurately represented by Vigeland's famous sculptured column in Oslo of people climbing over one another and trampling one another down. The Nazis, when they occupied Norway, greatly admired that sculpture. They would. But the rest of us can do better than that. Many men and women in every age have done better and are doing it still. The Scottish scientist J.B.S. Haldane once said that the people who can make a positive contribution to human progress are few, that most of us have to be satisfied with merely staving off the inroads of chaos. That is a hard enough job, especially in these times when those inroads are more threatening than they have been for a long time past. But if we can stave them off and keep the field clear for the creative intelligence, we can feel that we've done our part toward helping the human race get ahead.
That was commentator Elmer Davis, former head of the OWI, author and playwright, whose life has been guided by the principles of the freedom of the mind.
Listen while the makers of Rexall drug products and 10,000 independent Rexall family druggists bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective. Good evening. This is Bill Foreman, speaking to you for the 10,000 independent druggists who have made the word Rexall part of their own store names. They've done that because they recommend and sell the 2,000 or more drug products made by the Rexall Drug Company. This month, Rexall family druggists are introducing 10 great new products direct from the famous Rexall laboratories. One of them is Rexall Multivitamin Formula V10. Here's a really pleasant-tasting, really easy-to-take liquid that supplies twice the minimum daily requirement of vitamin B1, 5 times the requirement for iron, plus the minimum daily requirement of vitamins A, D, and B2, plus red crystalline vitamin B12. Rexall Formula V10 aids in the formation of hemoglobin, stimulates appetite, and is especially good for convalescents. Remember and ask for it by this name, Rexall Formula V10, at Rexall drugstores everywhere. Good health to all from Rexall. Now your Rexall family druggist brings you a transcribed half hour with Richard Diamond, private detective, starring Dick Powell.
Diamond Detective Agency, not a corpse in a carload.
Rick?
Hi, Helen.
Hi. What are you doing?
Oh, trying to think up a new ad for the phone book.
Well, what's the matter with the old one?
Doesn't seem to be bringing in the business.
Oh.
Hey, see what you think of this one. Diamond Detective Agency. We'll split any case you've got, bonded or dead on arrival.
Oh, by all means, use it.
Like it?
No, but think of all the business you'll get from the psychiatric ward.
Oh, you're a living doll.
Will I see you tonight?
Mr. Diamond?
Helen, dear, I'll talk to you later. I think I've spotted a client.
Bye.
Bye. Well, come in.
You're Mr. Diamond?
That's right.
My name is Quimby, sir.
How do you do, Mr. Quimby? Pull up a chair.
Thank you.
Something I can do for you?
Yes. You see, Mr. Diamond, I'm the manager of the Far East Importing Company. And when I went down to the store this morning, our night watchman was missing.
So?
Also about $50,000 in unset gems.
Why come to me instead of the police?
Those jewels were on consignment to the store. I was in hopes you could recover them before I had to make an accounting to the owner.
Who owned the gem?
Mr. Philip Lasdown. He's a very eccentric collector. He has many things on display in the store. He's a very good client.
Aren't you insured?
Naturally. But if Mr. Lasdown knew that a robbery had taken place, he'd never again do business with my establishment.
And you want me to recover the missing jewels?
If you can.
You think the night watchman is responsible for the theft?
Well, I don't know what else to think. The night watchman's name is Block. Arthur Block. He lives in an apartment on the east side. But I've already checked with his landlady, and he hasn't shown up.
How long have I got to recover the jewels, Mr. Quimby?
But I have no idea. It's impossible to tell when Mr. Lasdown will want an accounting.
Well, I charge $100 a day in expenses.
Oh, yes. Well, 100 be enough for now.
Well, if you have nothing to do for the next few minutes, I'd be more than happy to grovel at your feet.
I beg your pardon?
Well, now, I want the night watchman's address, also the address of your shop. Then you go back to the shop and wait to hear from me. Quimby gave me what I wanted, then minced happily out of my office. I locked up, grabbed a cab for the east side of town, and 20 minutes later I was talking to the missing night watchman's landlady.
Sure, honey, Arthur Block lives here. You're the second one to come asking for him this morning. He killed somebody or something?
Is he in?
No, he ain't been in since yesterday evening before he left for work.
Can I take a look at his room?
Well, I don't know, Blue Eyes. It's against the rules.
Oh, my goodness, I dropped a $5 bill.
My goodness, so you did. Don't hurt your back bending over, honey. I'll get it. Right. Little rheumatism, but anything for a fin. Say, you got any more loose ones around? I'll show you every room in a jug.
Just the one where Block lives.
Right down here. You ain't no cop, honey. Shamus?
Yep.
Figured. Right in here. There you are, handsome.
Thank you, Mother.
Mother! When you're done, stop back at my room and have a beer.
I never touch anything stronger than opium.
Never anything stronger than opium. Mother!
The night watchman's room was a shabby affair, about 15 by 20, and I went over it inch by inch, cockroach by cockroach. Apparently, Block hadn't taken anything with him. The drawers in the broken-down dresser were filled with an assortment of socks and underwear. In the closet, I found the rest of his clothes and an old empty suitcase. Yes, if Arthur Block had skipped, he was figuring on buying a wardrobe someplace else. I left, keeping on my tiptoes as I passed the landlady's door. Then I headed for the address of Mr. Quimby's antique shop.
Hey, Mr. Diamond, did you find out anything about the night watchman?
Well, his landlady's a lush and likes blue eyes.
Oh, my goodness.
What's the matter?
Mr. Lasdown. Good afternoon, Mr. Lasdown. I do hope you...
Enough of your vulgarism, sir. It's a perfectly wretched afternoon, as you very well know.
Yes, it is. Pardon me. Mr. Diamond, Mr. Lasdown.
Philip J. Lasdown. How do you do, sir?
How do you do?
Quimby, I've come from my Buddha.
You've come to...
You've had it quite long enough. Where is it?
Mr. Lasdown, I have someone who's interested
I've decided not to sell it. Come. Where is it?
It's over there, in the corner, Mr. Lasdown.
In the corner?
Yes.
I see. It's not enough that I suffer the torment of lending my exquisite stature to a firm that employs a Philistine as manager. No. I am now subjected to the ignominy of having it secreted in a corner behind a variety of bric-a-brac one would expect to find only in the men's lounge at Coney Island.
Mr. Lasdown...
Maybe I told you that duty was to enjoy this room's most favorable location. You made a grave mistake, sir. A momentous mistake.
Please, Mr.
Enough,
Lasdown.
sir. I'm repossessing my Buddha forthwith. For years, I forced myself to deal with you in a patient and forbearing manner. But never again. This is the crowning blow. Far be it for Philip Lasdown to cast pearls before swine.
Oh, that man, Mr. Diamond. Oh, that terrifying man. I must have been born under an unlucky star.
Well, relax. Things could be worse. You've still got a little hair on your head.
Even that's getting thin.
So who wants fat hair? I left Quimby wringing the cold sweat out of his hands and took a cab over to the 5th Precinct Police Headquarters. When I walked in, the clock above Lieutenant Levinson's desk said 12 noon, and Lieutenant Levinson said,
"Oh, no."
Well, what's the matter, Fatty? I remind you of your lost youth?
No, lost cause.
Well, you might as well face it, Walter. You hate me because I have an athletic waistline.
Ha, ha, ha.
Eureka. At last, a 3-syllable word. I knew you could do it, Otis. I'm going to let you do me a favor.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I want you to check with the morgue and all hospitals and jails for an Arthur Block, lately employed as the night watchman of the Far East Importing Company.
Oh. Well, I'll check, but not because you told me to.
Then why?
Because I'm stupid. I guess I told him. What's all this about, Rick?
It's a missing night watchman and $50,000 in jewels, Walt. But you can't stick your nose in it yet. Nobody's dead.
I've got a sergeant who could make a liar out of you.
What do you know about a guy named Philip J. Lasdown?
Never heard of him.
Shove me that phone, will you?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Forget it. Just leave a nickel.
Oh, he's a collector of rare art objects and nasty dispositions.
Want me to check on this Lasdown for you?
Might be a good idea.
Okay.
Yes?
Quimby?
Oh, Mr. Diamond, I was hoping you'd call.
You and 10,000 foolish debutantes.
Mr. Lasdown has had the Buddha removed, and he is sending his lawyer over in the morning for an accounting. Now, should I tell him about the jewels now or wait until morning?
Oh, wait, if you want this thing solved. What's Lasdown's address?
Blue Heron Road at Long Island.
Thanks. I'm going out to see him. I'll check with you later.
Please. I do not read Pick, Look, See, Quick, or Popular Mechanics. I refuse to endorse a petition, and as far as a free excursion to the Bahamas with all expenses paid, I couldn't be less interested. Now, if you'd be so kind as to remove your person from my property. I'm warning you, sir.
Look, Your Highness, remember me? I met you this afternoon at the Far East Importing Company.
I remember you. Good day. Young man, if you do not remove your foot from my door, I may resort to violence. You will kindly remove your foot?
By all means, as soon as you answer a few questions.
Who are you, sir? I mean, what's your occupation?
I am a private detective.
How earthy. Well, what do you want?
How many things do you have on consignment in the Far East Importing Company?
Oh, good grief. What kind of a question is that?
The first of several.
I have many things on consignment there.
Anything of extreme value?
What are you getting at?
Just curious.
Yes, disgustingly so. Of course, there are many things of extreme value. Approximately $50,000 in rare gems, a dozen priceless antiques. As a matter of fact, that Buddha which you saw this morning, my most priceless possession. Aside from being very old, the eyes are two perfect pigeon blood rubies. Now, is there anything else? I'm sure your foot must be going to sleep.
Did you ever know or meet a man named Arthur Block?
Never.
He was the night watchman at the shop.
The night watchman. So our conversation's at an end. I find your reference to my association with the night watchman the lowest form of discord. Now, good day.
Gesundheit to you.
Hey, bud.
Sorry, I do not read pick, click, quick, look, spook.
Hey, who's taking the census? Just want to know if a party named Lasdown lives here.
Well, you could hardly call him a party. More like a friendly street fight.
Look, friend, I got to pick up some luggage. Does Lasdown live here?
Yeah, with a bosom Buddha. Lasdown's the one with the toupee.
Hello, Mr. Diamond. I was just closing up shop. Have you found out anything?
Well, not much. Tell me something, Quimby. Where do you keep those jewels?
Away in the safe.
Did the night watchman have the combination?
Yes, in case of fire. There were also some perishables in with the gems.
Did he know much about the rest of the merchandise in the store?
Yes, because he had a list and made inventory every night.
Did he know Lasdown's Buddha had ruby eyes?
But I don't know. Well, how'd you find out?
Lasdown told me. If the night watchman knew about those rubies, I wonder why he didn't pry them out and take them along.
I never thought of that.
Have you touched that safe?
Yes, when I opened it and discovered the loss.
Well, don't do it again. It may have some of the night watchman's fingerprints on it somewhere. Tell me, did you know Lasdown was planning on leaving town?
Leaving town? No, I didn't.
Well, I'm not sure that he is, but I've got a hunch. Are you going home after you lock up?
Yes.
Well, give me your phone number. I'm going down to the precinct and may want to reach you later.
you still looking for Block?
That's right. Has he shown up?
No. Hey, honey, you just skipped off without saying goodbye. Had a beer all open for you.
Oh, I bet you were so unhappy you poured it down the drain.
You sure are the one.
I sure am. Look, sweetheart, if Block shows up, call me at the 5th Precinct Police Station. Name's Diamond.
Sure, handsome. Oh, you fracture me.
Well, that's an idea.
I couldn't find nothing on that missing night watchman, Shamus.
Well, thanks anyway, Otis. In appreciation, I may send you a large can of Red Heart, liver flavor.
Oh, go chase your tail around the block.
Otis.
Yeah, and I got plenty more things to say.
Funny thing?
Funny as your face. I'm tired of you making fun of me. I ain't no dog.
You having trouble with Otis again?
Oh, I don't think it's anything serious. But I would suggest a rabies shot.
Well, here's something that might interest you. Philip J. Lasdown booked passage on the Star of the Orient, sailing for the Far East tonight at 11 o'clock.
Famous beauty expert Ann Delafield says that women are tired of endless jars and bottles that cost so much time and money. She says that more than one cream is just nonsense.
But can just one cream do everything for your skin?
It certainly can. That is, if it's Ann Delafield's all-purpose deep cream. Here's a cleansing cream, face cream, night cream, eye and throat cream. All creams in one. A special blend of all the fine, rich, natural oils so necessary and good for care of your skin.
Sounds wonderful. Does Ann Delafield have makeup, too?
Yes, indeed. She's designed a whole new, no-nonsense cosmetic line just for you modern women. There are vitamins for true beauty from within. Fine powder with built-in foundation. Everything you need for looking your lovely.
All this must be pretty expensive.
But you're wrong. You'll find that the Ann Delafield Cosmetics give you most for your cosmetic dollar and save you so much time as well. So look for them today at Rexall drugstores everywhere. And now back to tonight's adventure with Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
Well, Walt's enlightening bit of information certainly seemed important, so I sat down to try and figure out exactly what I had to date. My client, Quimby, had come into my office and hired me to locate a missing night watchman named Arthur Block because $50,000 in gems had been pilfered from Quimby's shop. The gems belonged to a particularly disgusting character named Philip J. Lasdown. The missing night watchman, Block, was still missing. And by the looks of his room, he'd skipped without taking anything with him. And by the look of his landlady, I couldn't blame him. Well, I tied it all together, and the conclusion was amazingly simple. I had exactly nothing.
Yeah, I got something hot, Lieutenant. 211 on River Street. I fished the guy out of the bay at the end of Pier 16. I identified as one Arthur Block.
Hey.
That's your missing night watchman, isn't it?
That's his name.
They bring the body in?
Yeah, it's down the morgue now.
Get Quimby down there for identification. Here's his phone number.
Does Block have any family or anything?
I don't know, but you might check with his landlady. She can get you an identification, too.
Otis, get this Quimby and the landlady. Take him down to the morgue. We're going up to see Verdier in ballistics.
Right.
Here's the slug, Lieutenant. Huh? Almost like a ball. This is really most amazing. That slug was fired from a weapon made in 1831 by Samuel Colt. He patented it in Europe in 1835 and in the U.S. in 1836.
What did the gun look like?
Well, it was the forerunner of the Colt 44. A single barrel with a revolving breech carried 5 slugs. During the Fieschi Revolution in France in 1834, Fieschi had a rifle made like it. Tried to assassinate Louis Philippe.
Lieutenant.
Well, what is it, you mallet head?
Call just came over the hot shot. That guy, Philip Lasdown, said someone had busted into his house and tried to rob him. He said he chased the guy off, but he was screaming for protection.
Come on, Walt. I think we'd better go over there. Well, things were beginning to shape up. Walt and I piled in the squad car and headed for Long Island, the house of Philip J. Lasdown. When we got there, Lasdown was hopping around like a kangaroo with a hot foot.
Fine state of affairs. It's getting so a man isn't even safe in his own home. What's the city coming to? A police force is obviously second only to the Boy Scouts.
Now, calm down, Mr.
Calm down,
Lasdown.
my good fellow. I have no intention of calming down. How would you enjoy walking into your own living room and there, slinking around in the dark, A pathological fiend intent on robbing you of your most priceless possession.
What was he after?
My Buddha. The object of your particularly uncouth interrogation of this afternoon, Mr. Diamond. By the way, where were you 40 minutes ago?
Oh, relax. Did you get a look at this guy?
The lights were out.
Well, did he take you, Buddha?
He most certainly did not. But had I not walked in at the precise moment, he would probably be carrying his piggyback to the middle of Times Square. And your observing police force would undoubtedly stop traffic for him.
That's the Buddha right over there, Walt.
Keep your hands off it.
Now, look, Lassie, you called the police. The police are here, so relax before someone puts their foot in that big mouth.
Well, really?
Yeah, really. You're getting ready to leave town, aren't you?
I don't see that that's any concern of yours, Lieutenant.
Well, Buster, in case you don't know it, you're the number one suspect in a killing.
I beg your pardon?
Do you own any antique guns?
Guns? Sir, I do not collect weapons of any sort. I demand to know what you mean when you say I am suspected of a killing.
The night watchman at Quimby's antique shop was shot to death and dumped in the river.
The night watchman again. I told Mr. Diamond once that my association with the night watchman was as ridiculous as General MacArthur sending Stalin a charm bracelet.
Nothing's been touched on the Buddha?
Nothing. As soon as the thief knew the value of the ruby eyes.
Has there been any publicity about the Buddha?
Some.
Walt, come here.
You excuse us a second, Mr. Lansdowne?
You couldn't make it a year, could you?
Charming fellow.
Yeah. Look, Walt, in some way the night watchman, the missing gems, Lansdowne, and his Buddha are all mixed up together.
Okay, so what? We haven't even got the murder weapon.
Well, if the night watchman did swipe the jewels out of the safe, then someone probably killed him for them.
Yeah, that figures.
If he was planning on stealing them, wouldn't he be all ready to skip town?
Sure.
Well, he hadn't packed a thing. His apartment hadn't been touched.
Oh, well, that's not much.
Okay. If someone wanted to get that Buddha, why not break in the store?
Because it's easier to break into a house out on Long Island.
The Buddha was just moved this afternoon. Who knew Lansdowne took it?
Yeah.
And if the potential thief is mixed up with the original jewel theft, why didn't he grab the rubies in the store?
I never thought of that.
No. I think he wanted that Buddha for something else. Oh, Lansdowne.
What do you want?
Is there anything else about that Buddha besides the eyes?
I told you once it's a very rare piece.
Yeah, aside from that. Could anyone hide something in it?
Hide something? Why, yes, of course. It's hollow. The whole back swings open. Wealthy families used to place their valuable possessions inside the Buddha for protection.
Show us.
Certainly. There you are. You see, the space inside is quite... good grief.
Don't touch it.
Isn't that a gun?
Certainly is, and there may be fingerprints on it.
Well, I assure you that does not belong to me.
Do you know anything about a gun like this?
Well, only that it's apparently very old. An antique.
8 to 5, that's the one that killed the night watchman. Give me a handkerchief.
Yeah.
I'm afraid you'll have to postpone your trip, Mr. Lansdowne.
Well, I've already purchased my ticket.
Have you any idea why the night watchman was killed last night?
None whatsoever.
All of those uncut gems you had consigned to Quimby were stolen.
What?
That's right.
Well, why wasn't I notified?
Because Mr. Quimby thought I could recover them before you found out.
That Shylock, that deceitful little pipsqueak. After all the business I've given him.
Come on, Walt.
I shall personally take extreme delight in exposing him as a discredit to his profession.
Come on. You won't leave town, will you, Lassie, old boy?
You have my word, sir. At least not until I've dealt with that traitor personally.
But he's a suspect. We can't leave him. Rick!
With Walt protesting all the way, we climbed in the squad car and pulled it down the street to wait. In about 2 minutes flat, Lansdowne came streaming out of the house, piled into his own car, and took off for the city with us right behind. A half an hour later, we watched him go into a building on the east side, and we followed. The mailbox gave us Quimby's apartment, and by the time we reached the floor, we could hear Lansdowne raising his blood pressure up past the boiling point.
How dare you! How dare you!
Please, Mr. Lansdowne.
After all these years, Quimby, this is unforgivable.
He's really going at us.
Mr. Lansdowne, you couldn't blame me.
I couldn't do anything else but drag you, Quimby. There's no excuse.
Please, the neighbors.
I assure you your neighbors will only be the first to hear of this atrocity.
When they find the night watchman.
They have found it.
You are?
Floating in that filthy river out there. And who put that gun in my Buddha?
You found it?
Walter. You knew it was there.
That does it.
No,
Wait.
I don't know anything about it.
Liar! Why did you think I found it? The police discovered it.
The police?
Yes. They believe it's the same gun that killed... Quimby, you didn't.
What's going on?
I don't know. We'd better get in it.
Quimby, no.
We'd sure better.
No, don't shoot!
Stop it, Quimby!
No.
You all right, Rick?
Yeah, I'm all right.
You imagine such effrontery? That assassin's apprentice was going to shoot me.
Here's his gun, Walt.
Looks like I got him in the leg.
Can't believe it. I, Philip J. Lansdowne, being subjected to such distasteful melodrama.
I'll call an ambulance.
I haven't viewed such a spectacle since I was 8 1/2. Sitting in the balcony of the Savannah Opera House, watching a third-class road company chase the lever across the ice.
I can imagine, Lassie. Now, let's have a look at Quimby. Come on, Quimby. Better tell me about it. You killed the night watchman with that antique gun.
Yes, I kept the gun in my desk at the office. I was taking the jewels from the safe to make it look like robbery when Block came on duty. He was early, and he surprised me. Shot him and hid the gun in the Buddha.
That's why you were so shocked when Lansdowne came and got it today.
Yes, when you told me he was leaving town, I feared he would take the Buddha with him and discover the gun inside.
It was you who broke into my house this evening.
Yes, Mr. Lansdowne.
Wagon's on the way.
Well, Mr. Lansdowne, you were pretty lucky.
What a revolting display of uncontrolled emotion.
Lansdowne!
Oh, my goodness. Mr. Lansdowne's fainted.
Why were you so late, Rick?
Oh, I got mixed up with a screwy one. I was going to leave the station earlier, but Otis got to discussing Freud with a very learned gentleman named Lansdowne.
Otis was discussing Freud.
Mm-hmm. True. Couldn't tear myself away. Seems, according to Otis, that this year Freud plays second base for Brooklyn. Then he got around to Kenzie and discovered he was batting 200.
Oh, I don't believe it.
Neither did I. But Otis explained he'd been in a slump all season.
You and your friends.
I hate to mention it, but you qualify in that league.
Oh, but you love me.
I do not. I just breathe hard from an irritated sinus condition.
Well, use the condition and sing me a song.
Okay.
What are you going to sing?
I don't think it's any of your business.
Oh, that's a nice song. How does it go?
Well, you pick one.
All right. Let's see. No. I like...
New York in June. How about you?
That's cute.
I like a Gershwin tune. How about you?
I
love it. I love a fireside when a storm is due. I like potato chips, moonlight motor trips. How about you? I'm mad about good books. Can't get my fill. And Doug MacArthur's looks give me a thrill. Holding hands in a movie show when all the lights are low may not be new, but I like it. How about you?
I like it.
You like me?
Well,
Come here. Oh, well, do you?
I don't think it's any of your business.
If your summer fun is being spoiled by the misery of athlete's foot, your Rexall family druggist has a great new product for you. It's Aerosol Fungi Rex, a greaseless, stainless spray-on relief that's easy, quick, and clean. Fingertip-controlled spray eliminates messy application, gives positive coverage to the entire infected area, and all the burning, itching, and discomfort of athlete's foot are quickly relieved. Ask for Aerosol Fungi Rex. That's Fungi-Rex. Aerosol Fungi Rex at Rexall drugstores everywhere. Good health to all from Rexall. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, stars Dick Powell in the title role and was written by Blake Edwards, with music composed and conducted by Frank Worth. Dick Powell directed the RKO production Split Second, which is now in release. and his latest film appearance was in the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer award-winning The Bad and the Beautiful. Heard in tonight's cast were Virginia Gregg, Howard McNear, Jeanette Nolan, John McIntyre, Arthur Q. Bryan, Wilms Herbert, and Harold Dayenfort. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, is transcribed in Hollywood by Jaime Del Valle. This is Bill Foreman inviting you to be with us next Sunday at this time when Rexall Drug Products again bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective. Now get new and better relief from acid upset stomach. Try Bismarex Gel, the new liquid antacid that gives 4-way relief. Bismarex Gel contains aluminum hydroxide for the plus benefits of absorbing and neutralizing excess stomach acid and leaving a protective covering. Ask for Bismarex Gel, Bisma-Rexgel, Bismarex Gel at Rexall drugstores everywhere.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
This I believe. Elmore McKee is originator of The People Act, an award-winning CBS radio program which shows how Americans working together can solve their local problems. Until 1947, he was an Episcopal minister, but after a trip to Germany as the head of a Quaker relief mission, he decided that he could better serve Christian principles as a layman. This is how Elmore McKee translates those principles into the terms of his own life.
What a man really believes is shown by what he thinks and does in solitude. I shall try to set down some things that keep coming back to me in those rare moments when solitude becomes creative, and comes with the ascent of all 3 avenues to reality that are given me: my reason, my feeling, my intuition. First, I discover there is a core of being deep within me where either creative or destructive forces are constantly taking possession of me. I believe that here the Creator either gains or loses ground in terms of his specific purposes for me. And I find that I am held responsible for what happens in this solitude. As, for instance, when 5 years ago I made the radical decision to become a layman after having been an Episcopal minister for 25 years. I find this freedom to make choices and to be held responsible for them an essential, if sobering, experience. I am reminded of some German friends who, as a committee, were struggling in 1947 to plan a laundry for our Quaker neighborhood center in Frankfurt. One day they came to me exclaiming, "We have just discovered what democracy means." Then, with surprise written all over their faces, they added, "It means that each member of our committee must take responsibility." Next, I have learned that this inner core of my being is definitely the Creator's outpost, not my private preserve. And there's a lift in admitting this. It has saved me in the uncertain days when I have been making a fresh start from taking myself too seriously. Nothing is so exhausting as mentally to carry oneself around all day, not to mention the wearing effect it has on others. I shall never forget Dwight Eisenhower saying to his friends at the peak moment on the night of his election, "Always take your job seriously, never yourself." These 2 discoveries lead me to a third. I see my neighbor in a special light. For the Creator is trying to do the same kind of business within him as within me. So I have learned to knock on doors expectantly. Sometimes I find the person who opens the door is willing to risk even slackened production, to express his basic and often perhaps buried instinct for mutuality. I had a friend who constantly gave expression to this instinct, the late colorful, greatly human vicar of St. Martin's, Trafalgar Square, London, Dick Shepherd. I found he had a curious habit whenever he left a hotel room of praying for the next person who would occupy the room, that he might make a better go of things in life than he himself had. He saw humanity in a special light as bound together in and under God. And there has come this final insight. Sometimes life slaps me down hard, and there are sleepless nights shadowed by fearsome ghosts. I have learned that at such times I must try at all costs to forego the luxury of self-pity. So I try to get my thoughts and my fingers quickly onto the next constructive job close at hand, perhaps as simple as writing a letter, visiting a friend, or hammering out a new manuscript. This puts the fresh hoofprints of creation over the danger spot where I am tempted to enjoy the contemplation of my own miseries. Uniting each of these four insights is a single creative principle that acts as a steady, difficult-to-heed pressure away from self. Its theme is this: real life always lies in giving, never in taking. A noble Jew named Jesus once let himself be wholly mastered by this theme, which was love. In so doing, he pioneered and occupied new spiritual ground. If we ignore his victory, I believe we ignore our destiny. I have found in all effective solitude that I cannot escape him.
They're the creed of Elmore McKee. He heads the People Act Center.
Mr. District Attorney, starring David Bryan. Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
It shall be my duty as district attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens. This is David Bryan. In a moment, we'll bring you another case from the files of Mr. District Attorney. But first, a word from our sponsor.
And now, here is our star, David Bryan, as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
Before a district attorney can begin his search for a murderer, there are three things he must know: when and where the murder was committed, and the identity of the victim. All three of these elements were unknown when this case began. It started with a midnight call from Harrington, asking me to meet him at the railroad freight yards on the outskirts of the city.
It's the third boxcar on that siding over there, Chief. We're just past the street. Your detective and a brakeman were going through the cars looking for hobos when they spotted a duffel bag in the empty. First, they thought it was something some foe had left behind. Then, when they went to lift it, they realized there was a body in it.
Any identification, Harrington?
No. Female, Caucasian. Coroner said she was about 21 years old.
Any clothing?
Yeah, but no laundry marks. Lab boy said everything must have been home laundered.
Coroner estimate the time of death?
About 7 hours ago, between 5 and 6 p.m. Here we are.
Can we get a little light in here?
Oh, sure. Hey, Charlie, turn on those spots. Mr. Garrett wants some light in here.
Thanks, Charlie. That's good.
Hey, I'll give you a boost up, Chief.
Thanks. Okay, give me a hand now.
No, it's all right. I can make it. Well, there she is. Pretty brutal job of stabbing.
That duffel bag there.
Yeah. Duffel bag itself won't help much. Kind anybody could pick up in a war surplus store.
Look at this, though. The bottom of the bag.
Oh, yes. I noticed that. Damp from blood seepage.
It's more than blood. Whoever carted this bag around with the body in it must have set it down someplace to rest. Little earth clung to it. Rub some of it off between your fingers.
Fine grain. Gritty.
Feel like beach sand?
Yeah, it does. Hey.
What?
Just thinking of the train schedule. The body couldn't have been put on until after the murder. Say after 6 o'clock. Train made 3 stops between then and the time it pulled into the yards.
Any of those stops on the coast?
Only one. A watering stop near Lobster Bay. Fishing village and a resort center. Lots of people pouring in and out of there this time of the year. If we only knew who she was. If only there was a laundry mark.
Well, there's one thing we've got.
What?
Her shoes.
Cheap make. Could have come from 1,000 stores all over the country.
Yes, but these were repaired recently. If we could find the shoemaker who fixed them, he might recognize his work. We'll take these with us. Leave the rest for the lab.
What's our first move?
Lobster Bay. Have the lab boys prepare a photo of her. Maybe we can get on identification.
Well, that's that, Chief. Want to try that seashell woman the last guy told us about? You know, the one who goes around peddling those handmade necklaces?
I think we'd better. Oh, wait a minute.
What?
Looks like we're running in luck for a change. Look, across the street there. Table by the window of that seafood place.
Yeah, that's her, all right. She looks like Father Neptune's mother.
She sure does. Let's go. Hello. Mind if we sit here?
You want to buy a necklace? Your loved one will hear the whispering of the sea, the secrets of life, for $1.
I'm afraid we're more interested in the secrets of death. The girl's dead. Show the photograph, Harrington.
Yeah, right. You ever see this girl before?
Well, did you? It's important. She's been murdered.
Oh, she should have bought a necklace. The sea would have warned her.
Then you have seen her?
Yes, once.
Where?
At the bus station. With a man.
Do you know who the man was?
No.
What took you so long to make up your mind? Did you know him or didn't you?
No.
Can you describe him for us?
Neither light nor dark, neither tall nor short. Part of the sea of humanity. Like any other part.
Thanks.
Buy a necklace. Each shell has 1,000 years.
But none of them has a mouth. Come on, Harrington.
I think she was lying about knowing the man, Chief.
And so do I.
Why?
If the man she saw was the killer, and she knew him, he might pay her to forget it.
If you're right, she'll try to contact the man we're looking for.
I want you to follow her, Harrington. The beach, wherever she goes, day and night. I'll do some more checking around town. You can check me at the hotel.
Right.
And walk up the street with me a bit. Then pick a doorway for a stakeout.
Hey.
What?
I just saw a girl go into the realtor's office up there. Looked like Miss Miller.
Well, what would she be doing in Lobster Bay unless the lab came up with...
There. She just came out again. It is her.
It must be lab information, then. You stop here, I'll catch her. Oh, Miss Miller! Miss Miller!
Oh, there you are. I've been looking all over for you, Mr. Garrett. The hotel said you... Where's Harrington going?
Well, we've got somebody under surveillance. I'll explain later. What have you got for us?
Reports from the lab. Those stitches used to sew the victim into the duffel bag.
Yes?
Morgan says they're the kind of stitches used by seamen to mend torn sails.
Oh, most sailing vessels are pleasure craft these days. It fits in with a resort town like this. The girl is still a mystery. She wasn't a local resident.
She may come from Sheffield.
Well, what makes you think so?
Morgan found a bus ticket in the small pocket of her dress. It was a ticket from Lobster Bay to Sheffield.
Now, that fits with the story we got about the murdered woman being seen at the bus depot here. She might have been buying a ticket to go home.
Population of Sheffield's over 100,000. Her identity might not be easy to trace. Unless you give her photo to the Sheffield newspapers.
Yeah, well, we'll avoid that for a while if I can. I've got something else I can use in tracing her. A pair of shoes.
You want me to go back to the city?
No, you go to the hotel and wait for a call from Harrington. You'll have to be our message center.
Yes, sir. Where will you be?
In Sheffield, checking shoe repair shops.
You want to know if I ever see these shoes before, that's right?
Yes, you're the fifth place in Sheffield I've tried.
Why you want to know?
It's police business. Here are my credentials.
Oh, you're the district attorney, huh? I vote for you, you know that?
Thank you very much. How about the shoes?
Ornamento. Hey, Angelo, turn off the machine, huh? That's better. I fixed this, all right. See, here's the way I sort of broken the strap. I remember for something else, too. I never get paid for the job.
Who owns the shoes?
Mrs. Watson. She's lived 2 blocks up the street, Brownwood House.
Mrs. Watson, Her husband around?
No. He's gone away 1 month.
Ever hear anybody say where the husband went?
Who knows? He's go all the time. Sometimes to work someplace in the factories. Sometimes to work with the fishing boats.
You mean he's been a seaman?
Sometimes. A little bit of everything. Say, what are you asking me all of these things? How come you got the shoes?
Because Mrs. Watson doesn't need them anymore. She's dead.
Dead? Mamma mia.
You said the house is 2 blocks up the street, brown wooden frame?
See. Mrs. Watson's mama, does she know?
I'm afraid not.
You gotta tell her, huh?
It's part of my job.
What's gonna happen to the poor bambino? The old lady, she's too old to take care of a small baby all the time. Too old and too poor. Maybe not if I'd come home and take care, huh?
I hope he can.
He's on the bambino. What's going to stop him unless he's in some kind of trouble? Is he in trouble?
That depends whether or not he sewed up the top of a certain duffel bag. Thanks for your help, Mr. Skinelli.
Oh, sure thing.
Split up a month ago. Wasn't the first time. Then last week her husband wrote to her from Lobster Bay. Said he was sorry. Wanted my daughter, Helen, to come and meet him. I thought she was staying with him.
It seems that she was, for a while. Can you give me your son-in-law's full name and description?
Herbert Watson's his name. But they call him Bud.
Herbert Bud Watson. How tall would you say? Somebody at the door. You want me to answer it?
No, I'll call out the window and send them away. I don't want to see anybody now.
What's the matter? What is it?
Come on, somebody, open the door.
It's him. It's my son-in-law, Bud.
Looks like he's saving us a lot of trouble. Better open the door, ma'am, and let him in. This is David Bryan. Before we continue with Mr. District Attorney in the case of the body on the freight train, here is an important message from our sponsor.
And now back to David Bryan, starring as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
The body of a young woman, a murder victim, had been found aboard a freight train. A search for her identity led to a seaside resort and then to a town inland where facts began to indicate that her estranged husband was the killer. I was getting the husband's description from the dead woman's mother when the husband suddenly appeared at the house seeking entrance.
Hey, come on, somebody open it up.
What did I do? What did he come back here for?
That's something we'll find out when you let him in. I'll step behind the door. You open it. All right. Let him in.
Well, it's about time. What took you so long? Where's Helen?
You know where she is. What did you do to her? What did you do to my hero?
Crazy, what are you trying to do? What's the matter?
Here, that's enough. Stop that.
Hey, who are you? What's going on here?
I'm the district attorney. Just stand back against the wall and keep your hands up where I can see them.
You killed her. And now you have to go and come back here.
What are you talking about? Kill who? Mom, where's Helen? Where is she?
Don't you know, Watson? Or did you think she'd never be identified?
Helen's been murdered? Oh, no, I don't believe you.
Stop pretending. You did it. You know you did.
No, Mom, I swear. Look, I gave her money. I told her to come back home and I'd meet her here today. We were going to take the baby and go to some other town, make a fresh start.
How much money did you give your wife?
$400.
Well, that's a lot, all right. Where did you get it? Come on.
Lobster Bay.
How?
Shaking down tourists who were fishing without a license. I pretended to be a game warden. Worked the same thing once before 2 years ago. Now you know.
Who else knew? Rosie? The old woman who sells the shell necklaces?
Yeah, she knew all right. Shit, and I'd have had more money. I had to pay her off.
The same way you paid her off to keep her quiet after you killed your wife?
I tell you, I didn't kill her. If Rosie says I did, she's a liar.
She hasn't said anything yet. But we're going back to Lobster Bay. Maybe seeing you in custody will loosen her tongue a little. Start moving. Harrington.
I'm here, Chief. Yeah, how'd you know I was down here on the pier?
Miss Miller told me she'd seen you and Rosie from the hotel window just before dark, walking down here toward the pier. Where is Rosie?
Why, that's her, out there on the beach with the flashlight. Seems like this is her hour for picking up shells. Oh, who's that you got in the car?
Bud Watson. I identified the murdered girl. He's her husband.
Is he clean?
I don't know. He's working a shakedown racket on the fishermen here. Rosie was cutting herself in for a payoff. I want to see what happens when I bring them together. Come on, Watson. Out of the car. This way.
Well, what are we going out on the beach for?
Just visiting an old friend of yours.
Go away, you men. Now get off my beach with your shoes on. You crushed the shell.
Take it easy, Rosie.
Why do you follow me? All day you've been following me.
Light your flashlight, Harrington.
Right.
I want you to look at this man, Rosie. You ever seen him before?
No, she's seen me before. He didn't ask you. Well, how about it, Rosie?
Yes.
All right. Now tell us. Is he the same man you saw at the bus depot with the girl whose photograph I showed you?
Yes. Same man.
At the bus depot? But she's lying. I was never with Helen at the bus depot.
You hear that, Rosie? That means one of you is lying.
Well, I'm not lying.
You old head. What are you trying to do? Oh, you don't get to take it easy.
Do you own a knife, Watson?
Yeah, but I never used it.
I didn't ask you that. Where is it?
With my things, where I've been staying. A shack I rent about a quarter of a mile up the beach past the end of the boardwalk. I'll show you.
We'll find it. You've been walking around loose long enough. We'll have a look at your place after we get you behind bars in the local jail.
Go with you, mister, so make it easy on yourself. All right. Start walking. Nothing in this bureau, Chief.
Yeah, the footlocker here. Hinges are rusted from the salt air. Help me open it.
Yeah. You know something? I can't figure why Watson won't admit it if he was at the bus station with his wife. That wouldn't hurt him.
No, it wouldn't. That's why I think he's telling the truth.
And Rosie must be covering up for something.
Chris, top of the locker's coming.
Just a bunch of junk. Well, that old fish knife is the only one in the place. And that's not the weapon. It's so rusted it's ready to fall apart.
Yeah.
That Rosie is such a screwball. I should have stayed with her.
It's too late for that now. If she's collecting anything, she...
Garrett?
That's Miss Miller, Chief.
Oh, Mr. Giddard.
Miss Miller, what's wrong?
It's Rosie, the necklace woman. There's a crowd down the beach with torches.
What's happened to her?
She's been murdered. They said that somebody cut her throat.
What? Let's get out there, Harrington.
Hey, Chief, can't we slow down for a little?
Gotta keep going. Oh, people who found the body saw a man running up. Please, this way.
Well, he had at least a 10-minute start, though. Hey, what's that? Up ahead.
Looks like an abandoned fisherman's shack.
The man we're after might be in there.
Better get ready to take him. Got your gun ready?
Yeah. Now, stand aside while I kick the door open there. Nobody here.
Is that a lamp hanging there?
Yeah, light it. Yeah. Pretty clean place for a shack like this.
Yes, too clean. Floor's been scrubbed recently. Scrubbed hard.
You mean in case there might have been any blood around?
Mrs. Watson might have been killed in a place like this. And two other things.
What?
Whoever was living here was mighty handy with a knife. Look at the inside of the door. Circle drawn on the wood. The wood is full of deep gouges where somebody practiced throwing a knife.
Yeah. Good aim, too. All the marks inside the circle.
Yeah, take a look at that cord. The one that's suspending the lamp you lit.
Hey, that's a seaman's knot.
Yes, and the cord itself is just about big enough to be the draw cord from a duffel bag. The seaman we've been looking for was here, all right.
It couldn't have been Watson, Chief. Rosie was alive when we jailed him. You think it might have been an old shipmate of his?
Let's go ask him if he remembers one who was handy with a knife.
Sure, Helen knew shipmates of mine. Dozens of them I introduced her to at one time or another.
The one we won had a habit of throwing a knife.
Drew targets on a door, never missed.
Matt Corbett. It was Matt Corbett.
How do you know? Any reason for him being around here?
Yeah. He was my partner in a shakedown racket 2 years ago. Neither of us come back last year because he was in some kind of trouble with the law, but... Well, this year I wrote to him and asked him to meet me here again, but he never even answered my letter. He used to be my best friend. Oh, that's...
Never mind that now. Where would he run for a hideout?
I don't know. He was always roaming like me.
You said you'd written to him someplace. You must have had an address.
Yeah, it was. Carriage General Delivery at Port O'Connor. There's an old bait house by the docks there. He lived in it whenever he had enough money to stop moving for a while.
He's got enough now. What he got when he robbed and murdered your wife. I'll arrange for your release as soon as we pick him up. Come on, Harrington. Open up and let us out, jailer.
There's nobody inside, Chief. Can see through the window. He isn't here. You going to stake out and wait?
Yes. Our car is out of sight where we left it. You won't spot it coming along the wharf.
Well, that's a break. The door isn't locked.
Fine. We can wait inside.
Hey, this Corbett's the guy we're after, all right. Look. Same trademarks we found in that beach shack last night.
Yes. Knife marks and a circle on the door. Running bowling on the lamp card.
Now what?
Sit and wait. Harrington, wake up.
What?
Somebody's coming along the wharf.
Oh. Dark out. What time is it?
Almost midnight.
Steps are coming closer.
Must be Corbett. Nothing to bring anybody else down here at this time of night.
Heading this way, all right.
Let him get before we jump him. And remember, he's got a knife handy with it.
I know.
We won't need a lamp, Corbett.
What? Flashlight, Chief.
There. Can you handle him?
I got him. Stop struggling, Corbett. You...
No! My arm. You broke my arm.
No, I just wrenched your shoulder.
Oh.
Keep you from throwing knives for a while. Come on, get up.
Oh.
We could use that lamp now, Chief.
Now, light it. Good thing you tackled him when you did. I felt that knife whizzing past my ear. Look, buried in the wall, a good inch.
Whoa, what are you guys looking for here? What are you, a couple of crooks?
Not that you don't know better than that. But just to make it official, I'm the district attorney, and we just dropped in to place you under arrest for the murder of Helen Watson and old Rosie up at Lobster Bay.
You watch your shoulder, friend. You want to cuff him, Chief?
No, Harrington. I can see by the expression in Mr. Corbett's eyes that you've convinced him of the folly of resisting when he no longer holds a knife. Our car is about 2 blocks past the wharf, Mr. Corbett. May we offer you a lift into the city? This is David Bryan again. I hope you've enjoyed this case from the file of Mr. District Attorney. I'll be back in just a moment after this message from our sponsor.
Now, here's the star of Mr. District Attorney, David Bryan, with a word about the program you have just heard.
Blood traces on the knife of Matt Corbett definitely linked him to the murder of Rosie McMichaels, the necklace woman. Confronted with proof of his guilt, he broke down and confessed to her murder and the murder of Mrs. Watson. He is now awaiting execution. Bud Watson was convicted on a charge of extortion but was placed on probation. Now, this is David Bryan inviting you to join us when we present our next case based on the facts of crime from the files of Mr. District Attorney.
Mr. District Attorney was originated by Phillips H. Lord.